sponsor friendly. Talk about anything.
All right.
Nice, man.
Baitman
Whoa!
Saturday night. Wait for me. Whoa, we got a lot of people already up in the chat here.
What the heck?
Guys, thanks for joining in at 8 o'clock on Saturday night.
Heck yeah.
If you don't know, special guest this evening from Bass Talk Live, Matt Pangrac.
What's up, guys?
And then, of course, Mr. Epic Eric. Eric,
Good to be here, man. As always, man.
Last night, I was really tired.
Yeah, man.
Pangrac,
Coming in fresh tonight.
So, before we get into the bait talk, I do have a couple things I want to let you guys know. As after a stream tonight, I said last week I draw for some spinner baits, spot sticker. After the stream is over, I'll do that live, by myself. Also, merchandise. So I got the Baitman logo, my Jank shirts. They'll be in the description to the video afterwards. I don't have the merchandise on hand. The company basically they print the shit, which makes it really easy on me. They ship in 2 or 3 days. You'll be able to select all kinds of different colors of shirts. There's even stickers on there. So everybody has an echo. All right, hold on. Let me know if you can hear everybody now.
Do I have an echo now? I don't have an echo with either of you guys.
All right, hold on. This always happens to me.
Yeah, Kevin, your volume is low. I can hear you fine. They say your volume is low, and we have an echo.
Trust me, 12 years of BTO, we've been through some audio issues.
Man.
I gotta fix the audio.
We had an entire show where cats were meowing in the background of Eric Martin's interview. I had a little segment called Name That Cat, whether it was like a Himalayan or, a Siamese, what type of cat it was. Well, that just played on a loop, and we couldn't hear it, but the viewers could. So for 11 minutes, there were cats meowing in the background during Eric Martin's interview.
Oh, man. Reverb, they said. Eric and Matt and Eric have a mad echo.
Okay.
Big echo. Still hearing it, they say.
Have an echo? I can't hear Matt and Eric, though.
No?
Testing.
Sounds like a hairband on a whammy bar. All right. I'm trying to fix this. Does somebody have their audio on their laptop or computer going?
No, man. I'm muted.
No.
How about now?
Is that better?
No, I'm not going to restart the stream.
Hello.
Still bad, like a stadium.
That's what I just read.
Baitman
is good.
Echo is bad.
Echo is bad. Why are you whispering? Good now.
Good now.
I do not restart streams. We will power through because I'll lose everything. Echoes and Baitman volume is low. Yeah, it's still pretty. God dang it. All right. Well, hell, I should probably put my microphone here. How's that? Is that better?
A little better now.
Is that even better?
Better.
There you go.
That's good.
Does Pangrac still have an echo?
Yeah. Am I still good on that? Eric and Matt are better.
All right.
Sounds good. Just turn everyone up. Well, that was an easy fix.
Whew. All right.
Baitman, you're still quiet.
All right. Hold on. I'll fix that. I can fix that.
Yeah, but we're getting a lot of better. Thumbs up.
How's that? Can you guys hear Baitman now?
Good. Yes. We are good. Yes. Good Perfect. To go. Good. Okay. Good. Better. That helps. Boom.
That's usually, actually, Matt, that's the first 10 minutes in about every stream. That is, we got to fix our audio.
It happens.
That's right.
And I'm going to be honest. Sometimes I don't think it's always on my end.
Swimming through. That's like a magwort swimming through. Could you hear that?
Yeah, Eric, you're doing that thing again. You're doing that.
What do you mean?
Oh, did you already show a magwort?
We haven't shown nothing.
I did, man. I just had to have it swimming through, man, to tease a little bit.
Okay. I already got Eric resizing on me. But I'm going to try to
really?
I'm gonna get it locked in. I could have pushed something. Locked in. Boy. Locked in. All right. Anyway, back to what I was saying. If you're interested in Baitman merch, there'll be a link in the description of the video. I'll draw for last week's giveaway winners as well. Other news, I just found out like yesterday. A lot of guys have been asking. I let Eric know this morning. Tackle Warehouse reached out. Affiliate link. So anytime we do some stuff that I can link to Tackle Warehouse, make sure you guys click those links. So when you purchase, it'll really help out the channel. Those guys saved my butt when I lost my hard drive with Mark Menendez. So anyway, got Matt Pangrac on here, and we made an Instagram post today. Matt, show us that Wart box.
Oh, it's honestly, it's not that impressive.
No, that's impressive, bud.
That I had pulled out, because these are all warts that I fish with. All those top 2 rows up there.
Dude,
that is
Pangrac's Wart box.
Yeah, man,
is a good box.
Yeah.
This is not what I fish. This is like what stays in the bass lab. But there you go.
Yeah, see, Eric's got a bunch of this. You got a bunch of the chrome ones in there, though.
Yeah, but those are going for repaints. You know, I bought those cheap for repainting, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I've only got 6 total wiggle
like
warts.
That's what everyone
like you take a chromie and then you send it to Tacklecraft, and you get one of these back, which is like, damn, is all I got to say. That's probably one of the fattest, nastiest crawl repaints I've ever been able to get my hands on. TK from Tacklecraft will do you right, man. That is,
dude, hook me up. You guys mentioned me in one of the last live streams, a spinnerbait live stream. He sent me a DM, boom, Pommy special on the doorstep. Plus that wacky tool that I see the guys use. I've got it right here. Have you guys seen that one?
Yeah, let's see that. Is this?
I did a little vid on it. It's a vein spreader, dude. You know that's a medical device.
Yeah, isn't it for like people who like shove stuff up their nose and then they have to like spray it to like get it? That's what honestly what I was told was like when kids like shove stuff up their nose, they put that up their nostrils and then they're able to like get like whatever's up there.
They did actually use one of those on my my son when he was about 3 years old.
Holy moly, man, that is huge. Crazy. So TK, man, yeah, he's a beast. He can paint his ass off, dude.
Sent me a badass spinnerbait and everything else. So I've got it here in the box with the little plastic keepers for the wacky rigging.
Nice, man. Nice.
Man, Eric, you're shrinking again. I don't know what's going on, but we're gonna power through.
Power through, bro.
I'll just
try.
Y'all talking. I need an intern, but I'm broke, so I can't do that kind of stuff.
I feel like Jeffries didn't have me intern for a year for free when I started.
Did he really?
Wow. Oh yeah.
And look what it's done for your career, bro. I mean,
dude.
Rocketed to stardom, dude. That was a good investment.
Yeah, I wouldn't go that far, but
all right. Well,
I'm still around.
You made it to bait, man. That's right.
I know that. Oh yeah, that is big time. So
hey, check it out here. We got a $5 donation right off the start from Andrew Limited. Andrew, thanks for the $5. Make you holler. He says he loves this channel, love to support y'all. I appreciate it, man. I love doing the streaming. I'm looking forward to not doing as much talking tonight. I'm still reeling from Hellabass unboxing all those OG baits.
Wow, man. That was fun.
Do me a favor. Make sure everybody follow Matt and Eric on Instagram and smash the like button on the stream. But let's talk a little bit of baits before we get in the whole wiggle wart debate and other things. Matt, I went to Mike's Tackle World this late spring, and you were one of the few people I know that knew about that place. And Miss Joanne, she was kind of feeling me out a little bit, and I said something about filming, and she was like, yeah, you can. And I said, by the way, Matt Pangrac said hello. As soon as I said your name, it was like light bulb. This guy's cool. I'll let him film. It was a 30-minute conversation, but I had to tell her, like, I don't know him that well. He's just really nice to me. But I'm pretty sure that if you walked in there any day of the week, it would just make her day.
I go in every single time I go back. We're talking about Mike's Tackle World in Decatur, Illinois. Baitman has the best YouTube video up on it. How many views is that up to? Like 40K already, or more than that?
Yeah, and I'm going to do a return.
Somewhere around there.
I'm going to do a return to Mike's and see how much is gone.
Wow.
But
I'm really curious.
The cool deal with that. No, they're like old school everything, aren't they? Like, I mean, it's like what's in the store, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like I think they just got like a Facebook page, But so like Mike he was like a kind of an old school guy, like around forever. When I started fishing tournaments there in Decatur, Illinois, I mean, at Mike's Tackle World, I've been going in there every week since I was 13 years old. Like first, like they made like a Daiwa Team Z. I remember one time, and I would go in and just look at that thing behind the glass case at Mike's, and I got all my rods and reels there, all my baits. It's a crazy tackle store. So I mean, I've known Joanne for over 20 years.
That's incredible.
Yeah,
man.
and it just happens to be in my hometown. So what they ended up doing was they had a bunch of old school baits, and they're kind of picked over now. Wouldn't you say, Baitman?
Yeah, I'll be honest.
There's still some stuff in there if you really hunt. They have the stuff in like storage because they used to be in a different location,
Right.
and they had a fire, and then they put all this stuff in storage units, and it's basically been sitting there for like 20 years. Like everything that you could ever imagine under the sun. But I mean, there was a point not that long ago where you'd go in and, like, we'll just use the Wiggle Warts for example. They just put the Minnesota Storm Wiggle Warts on top of the old ones, and it'd be in a corner 4 rows down, and they're about 3 foot wide rows that go 10 foot to the ceiling. And if you dug in the back, you'd be like, bam, all OG Wiggle Warts, all of the they had Bagleys, they had all the old Lucky Craft RCs, and then whenever a new model came out, they just put it on top of the old one.
Right.
And so
you told me that.
It's freaking crazy.
So
all the rogues.
There's a guy on Facebook that goes there probably like 5 times a week because I keep seeing him post like, oh, I got these Lucky Crafts and they're like $25 a piece, but he's got the Mike's label and he's got it Sharpied over so you can't see what he paid for it.
Yeah, it's a lime green label that she uses on all of her stuff. That's it's a specific Mike's label. But I mean, Joanne is sweetheart. I think when she immigrated from somewhere over in Europe and like learned to speak English and everything. And I mean, she's like, if she doesn't like you, she'll be like, get the hell out of the store right now. I mean, she's not afraid to like tell you how it is. But I mean, she is hard working, and Mike passed away a couple years ago, but tremendous support for that store kind of in the area. All my buddies.
The one thing that was cool when I was in there is a random guy walked in and he asked a question. It was like, there's a soft plastic. He's like, I don't guess you got this Strike King, blah, blah, blah. And I mean, she just, yeah, I do. Let me show you where it's at. And he just kind of like, and he's like, well, this is my first time in here. I found you on Google or something like that. And she went back there. She found the bait, the color, everything. He's like, wow, I'm impressed. And I could talk to her about, she was talking old Bagleys with me. Tell me, like, Aaron Martin spent like 16 grand on Bagleys.
Yeah, that place really blew up after the All-Star event in 2013, I believe. When they fished Shelbyville and Lake Decatur, and guys went in there, and then actually Fishing Tackle Retailer did a big piece on Mike's, and that kind of blew it all up.
Wow.
Yeah, Corey Ritter,
but it's still a hidden gem.
Corey Ritter in the chat says in 2012 Mike's opened for A-Mart only. He spent 3 hours in there shopping. They charged him full price for everything.
Oh yeah, that's go in.
Yeah, and here's the deal though. What I've noticed on a lot of pros from my retail days, they don't care. I mean, a lot of it's a tax write-off, but hardly ever did I get a pro, whether it was on a phone call, website, or come in the store and go, hey man, can I get a deal on that? They just, throw the Visa up there and go. It's always the guys that, Joe Blow, and it's okay, no big deal, want a discount, but who doesn't like a discount? I mean, let's just be real. Holy smokes, we got a $15 make you holler from Andrew Lemonick. Baitman plus Epic Eric plus Pang is the bait professors. That's pretty strong there.
That's awesome, man.
Pretty strong.
That's awesome, man.
But yeah, Pangrac, I'm going to make a back to Mike's video. I want to go back probably within the next month. My work's going to slow down. Go up there, see what's left. And I was only in there for 2 hours. And the problem is the way that store's laid out. Number one, I'm not Shaquille O'Neal. I'm like 5'5" on a good day. And she's got those alligator grip things. If you're not tall enough to reach up there. But, dude, there were some bows, frogs, and some other things way up top. I just couldn't get
and plastics. I mean, last time I was in there, they still had the original Jean LaRue salt craws, like black with the blue pictures on it, like the old, like, I mean, you get the salt craws now, they're still good, but these were like the smaller ones, more compact, really heavy salt in them. They've got all the Producto stuff. I mean, they still have a bunch.
Yeah, dude, tons of Producto, not just like 6 packs. There's a bunch of Producto.
The black grape Producto worm, the producer. Man, it had that segments, man. High float. I don't know if anybody knew, that was like my first experience with a high float worm. That tail would float.
And that was my first experience with a worm. That's all anyone in the Assumption Bass Club threw. Black grape, red glitter, Producto, 6-inch paddle tail. That was it. I mean, lead, true turn hook.
Dude.
Oh, wow. True turn, dude, man. Holy crap.
My dad loved true turn.
We haven't even talked about warts yet. Look, we're just going to dive right in. Forget about the warts, everybody. You thought you were coming to a wart show. It's all going to be about Mike's tackle
I just
shop.
clickbaited the hell out of y'all on Instagram, and I don't do that. No,
well, I'll show you.
I mean, I got him right here.
I'll show you a short wart.
Right I guess I'm going to get the rock crawler out.
That is my favorite color right there. One of them, man. Show me your 3 top wiggle wart colors. Like, and have you retired any, like, that you just won't throw because they caught? So
I have one right here. I'll show you. I have one. So the problem with the warts are I am afraid to throw them.
Right. I have a
It'll probably surprise you. My top 3 colors.
So let's talk about where you're fishing most often. Like, when you pick the top 3 colors, what lakes are you
Ozarks.
Okay, thank you. So
these are your top 3. Grand Lake, Lake of the Ozarks, Table Rock Lake. And I will preface this with, I am by no means a wiggle wart expert. There are guys who have all the color palettes memorized and absolutely everything. I mean, it's a religion, especially in the Ozarks. A lot of collectors, new in box, mint conditions. They're out there hunting the blue mackerels. They're hunting the Phantom Craw, like the 12 packs that have never been opened before.
Where are they coming from, man? That's crazy. The 12 packs that have never been opened.
Well,
that's
I mean, they come from Norman, Oklahoma, right there. I mean, there's still a bunch of guys that worked on the original plant and stuff. I mean, one of the biggest guys is Jim Morton. I mean, he's been in the BTL studio before. He's good friends with some of my buddies. He's just, I mean, he's got cases of this stuff. I mean, that's what he did. I mean, he worked, that was the deal.
Wow.
So there's a lot kind of in this area just because Storm was out of Norman, Oklahoma for the first number of years. But that's my retired one right there. See,
oh my gosh, look at that thing just ate up, man.
That's a really popular color right there. And look at the butt end of that bait, Eric.
Shoot off, man.
It's got, you can see the plastic
bone.
Yep.
There it is. Butyrate, baby.
Yeah, and that's a solid bill. Obviously, the big difference, solid or clear bills.
Sure.
The clear bills tend to go, like the clear bills. I don't know how you guys do it. What do you put your hand up behind it? Did Eric start that deal? The clear bills tend to go, I think, for a little bit more.
I would agree.
They do.
And that's a suspend wart, right? Because you got the suspend dot on it, or you just
it doesn't say suspending on it. I actually got some of the suspend dots on some of them just because typically, I mean, when you're using a 5.3 to 1, the only problem with that is they're a lot harder to get back sometimes because they literally don't float.
Yep, they don't. And I think that's a key distinction between the wiggle wart, the rock crawler. The new wart is how fast these come up out of cover. These things are a slow riser. So the comparison between, and that's how you set this up, right? OG wiggle wart versus rock crawler. And Matt, a rock crawler you've got experience with, and I think you had experience last year. What, in the championship? I know you threw it before, but that was really a key bait for you.
Yeah, I mean, the rock crawler's deal. I won $20,000 at Lake Cumberland on a rock crawler, and I mean, I had all my original wiggle warts, and I had 6 rock crawlers tied on.
So is that the 55, which dives deeper? So I think it's unfair, really, to compare an OG wiggle wart with a rock crawler 55. Yes. They are different baits because they reach different depths of the water column. So the question I have, if we're comparing wiggle wart to rock crawler, the 50. Do you have much experience with the 50, the new release?
I got one right here,
So
Eric. This is a 50 rock crawler. So.
Yeah.
And this is the color I throw quite a bit. I really like it. It's a good Tennessee River color. It's a Phantom Red. I think they just call it Red Crawl. And then if you look at OG Wart, Let's see if I can hold them both hands without getting them hooked here. If you guys can see my screen. That's a similar color to what Pangrac had, but it's got that clear bill. One thing is that 50 on the rock crawler, if you'll notice, the bill is a totally different angle. It's going to dive a little bit quicker. I do know a lot of guys said that the rock crawler tends to get hung up just a little bit more than the wiggle wart. But you look at the shoulders and all, if you can, that spro's a little bit fatter. Not much, but it is. I don't know if that makes a huge amount of difference, but just looking forward on them, you can tell, you know, the way those bills are designed, they're going to have a little bit of difference in the water as far as one's going to dig quick versus one isn't not. But I think the whole deal on both baits is when it gets down, the butt end is doing this deal right here. It's that bill and the fat, and then a lot of people comment this on Instagram. They talked about that curve 55 from 6 cents, which is a really good option. Again, similar steel body, but you could tell the bill is a whole lot different, but it's at a very similar angle as the wiggle wart. One thing about this bait, it doesn't have that tail kick. It's got a lot of vibration. It's what I call a tapper. It taps the bottom. It doesn't dig real hard. The cool thing about the curve is it doesn't really run straight. It's kind of got a slow S action. Whereas a wiggle wart, it kind of hunt a little bit. It's going to have that fat kick out, and then all of a sudden it might.
Oh no,
twitch.
it's the best hunter of all the baits that we're talking about tonight. There's no other bait in this lineup, whether you're talking about the new wart, the major craft, the 6 cents curve, the rock crawler 55, the live target, you know, which looks like a crawfish. Nothing hunts like the OG wart. There's no other bait.
One of the things that I like on like grain, you know, you'll have a bunch. And like I said, I'm not posting this with this. I'm a master at it, but I've thrown it a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, there are guys like Rob Burns who was there. I mean, the guy's made like a living off of wiggle warts and fishing them, and he understands it. And Mike McClellan, who designed that rock crawler, I mean, they understand exactly what and why that bait is doing. But one of the things I like about it, what I would call a good wart, is it almost feels to me like a Colorado blade when you're cranking it on a 5-3-1. Whereas, you know, you have a rock crawler where you got water in the 50s, or like at Cumberland, like I was doing, like I was burning it, and you can burn this bait and it doesn't blow out.
You can't burn a wart though. There's no way it'll freaking turn around.
But here's the thing: a good wart will blow out.
Yeah.
You want to be able to get it down. A bad wart will run perfectly straight. You're going to lose that thing in like an hour. But you want that wart where on a 5-3-1, and you're just cranking it. It gets down there, and it gets down there good. And then when if you throw it in clear water, you'll see it'll be hunting. And then when it comes across like a piece of table rock or a big rock or something, it'll keep hunting, but it'll hunt up on its side like that, and then it'll come back. It'll come back true.
The center,
and a lot of those bites come when it comes and it kicks out and it keeps doing it, and then it comes back because your strike zone is so wide on that bait because you're covering 2 or 3 feet by the way that thing is hunting, and it's following where it is, and then it's coming back to center, and then it's coming back like this. And I think that's what's really hard to duplicate in another bait, but it's also the wart's downfall.
Yeah.
When you're cranking too, which is why the rock crawler is such a special bait too, because it gets as deep, a little bit deeper, but there's also times when you want that reaction bite, and you can get that rock crawler down there and really grind it and really move that bait and trigger a reaction bite to it. But you can also slow this one down.
What were you throwing the rock crawler with? And you were fishing on Cumberland the 55, right? The
9 to 14. So like the smaller one. I don't know. Did you show a rock crawler versus a rock crawler? The two different ones, the bills on it.
Yeah,
I got them right here.
Yeah,
and 50, you can see that the angle on those bills is totally different. So this one's like a 4 to 7 foot bait, and then the 9 to 14 has a much more kind of traditional bill, and you can see where I've like ground the crap out of that bill.
Dude, that's that color you got.
Sorry, go
ahead.
That
color you got in that rock crawler. Dude, I smoked them on Kentucky Lake a few years ago.
Yeah, that's called red bug. Is what that,
they've got a bunch of new ones out too. But when we're talking about the 55, and I've seen it in the chat, someone said the 50 was doo-doo. I'm going to be honest. the 50 is one that just sits in my box. I don't care if I'm fishing 6 foot or 14, 15 foot. I throw that deep one. I just feel on the rock crawler side that the deeper rock crawler is just a better one. I don't have it comes through cover just a little bit better. I know they get hung up, but I've thrown warts on Kentucky Lake and I just don't catch. And I've talked to a lot of people.
Typically, when it's the time of the wart, you want to be able to get it as deep as you can and then slow it down as much as you can and get it deep. So I think that's why that deeper rock crawler.
I've heard a lot of people mention the Teckle Drunker. I don't have one. I know Matt Allen, Tim Little, they're big on that bait. I think it's more similar to Curve, the body design, but the bill's different. And then I know Mega Bass has like a Wiggle Griffin or something like that. You got a Wiggle Griffin, Eric?
You know
that's
the
a crankbait you don't have.
Name,
whoa! Pause out. Did Baitman just name a crankbait that you do not?
That's never happened on the stream, by the way. I don't think
there may be one in a box somewhere, but it's not a bait that I got into because I just loved the wiggle wart so much. Didn't see the need to try to replace perfection. I dove into like Major Craft made one. I think it was called the Hunter. And did not like the paint schemes, didn't like the bait. Always came back to the wart, man, because I that's my cranking zone is 6 to 8 feet. I mean, 8 to 10 is really deep for me. Now, as I go down to Carolina, the rock crawler's going to play, right? Because when we're fishing deeper water and steeper banks, so I've had to include the rock crawler in the lineup. But the new wart. I know there's a lot of fans of the new wart out there, but some of the things that I've seen are different is that the new wiggle wart is a much higher float bait, right?
Yeah.
So one of the things that you could do, so this is a new wiggle wart, right? This is in the clear Phantom colors, they still make it. So one of the things you can do is you can get yourself some lead tape and you can wrap it around the hook shank here. The other thing you can do, which I did, and I painted it special, and I'm trying to find it because I did this tonight for the stream. What's that?
You getting all this information, Pangrac?
Oh yeah. The lead around the hook is a standard.
Hey, I got one question. Go ahead, Eric, and then we're going to answer some questions.
Sure, you can use some lead tape, and then what you want to do is get a couple pieces of lead tape, and you could put it. Some people will put it right here under the bill. Some people will put it, 2 little small strips on the side. And it's silver, by the way, because it is lead tape. And so then what you can do, there you go, a suspend dot. You could take some Sally Hansen or any, nail polish you like if it's got an orange belly, and then put a little nail polish on it because the tape is famous for coming off.
It's like $150 bait, Panger. That's it. That's Blue Cross suspended is very expensive.
That's a custom paint job.
Well, it looks
nice.
All right, I want to get a few questions. This one's kind of for you, Matt. This guy's asked this a couple times from Andrew. Hey, Baitman asked Panger if the BTL color will go to other Big Bite baits other than just the BFE. That's a pretty unique color.
I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, Big Bite pours everything and has the capability of doing that. I've been to the factory. I've seen how it's done. It's super impressive. So, I mean, if the Montgomerys decide they want to do that, they'll do it.
D&J Plastics are good people. But what we need to really harp on is they got to get that green pumpkin / hematoma dual pour in the BFE. I think they.
Yeah, so we started with So typically, when they do a new plastic, they'll do 8 colors. They actually did 10. We did that color contest through BTO, which was Bedlam, which was orange flake on one side, crimson flake on the other, and then the BTL color. But as a bait, as it sells and becomes more popular, they add more and more colors to the lineup, which is why, like in a fighting frog, you have 20, 30 different color combinations. So each year I would expect, as long as that thing keeps moving, that they'll add more and more colors to that lineup.
So the answer is start buying a lot of BFEs and they'll add more colors. I'll put the link to the BFE in the description on the video as well. And any baits I think that are similar to wiggle wart. So here's a good question from the Adgram. What year did the pre-Rapala, basically when did Rapala buy out Storm? When did that start? About 2001? Does that sound right?
No, about 1990.
Really?
I thought
it was a little later than that.
And it went to Minnetonka, right? So it went from Norman to Minnetonka, which is when you can when you can kind of look on the back of that package and tell if it's a pre or post, but there are still some of the early ones from the Minnesota factory that are still kind of sought after.
Right, and you know the packaging changed through the years. A funny story about the original Wiggle Wart. I don't want to mention any names. I know a guy that he come up to me and he's seen me selling warts on eBay or eBay when I'm not a huge wart guy, but at the time had son on the way and I was like, I know these are worth some money, and I sold like 10, and I mean good colors for like $100 a piece. Well, like
Nice.
2 weeks later, he goes, I just bought out an old tackle store. I said, really? He said, yeah, I got like 200 original wiggle warts. I'm like,
Oh, wow.
Talk to me. And he said, well, come over and come look at them. So I come over. I'm all excited. I'm like, man, you know, I've got some money saved up. If he'll take $20 a piece for them, you know, maybe he'll feel like he made money and then I'll triple my money. I've never been so disappointed in my life. He opened up this Rubbermaid box. He said, check out all these original wiggle warts. Open it up, and they're new.
Oh, no.
They're the new ones, and the package says
Oh, no.
original series. And I said,
Oh, no.
dude, these ain't old warts. And he goes, yeah, they are. It says original on the package.
Oh, no.
I said, no, dude, those aren't it. And he was mad. He thought, I mean, I'm calling this guy. He ripped me off. I'm like, no, bud.
Oh, no, man. Buyer beware, man.
You just, that's the thing. The guys that know, they know. And,
sure enough.
well, I calmed him down. I said, man, they'll still catch fish. You know, you can. I did the math, and he had like $3 a piece in them. I'm like, dude, you can ask $5 and sell them all day. But
I mean, the newer warts are a lot tighter action, and they are certainly a way higher float plastic. They pop up like a cork. That's why you got to suspend it. I did find the one that I painted, so I wanted to show that. So that's all I did, man. You see the two suspend the pieces of lead on the bottom, right? So now I don't have two pieces of silver. You know, not that it's a big deal, but I'm just funny like that, man. I just want it to look good. You know, so a little bit of nail polish, man, and it'll stay on there way longer. It won't fall off.
All right. So someone wants to know if your boy Travis is catching any. They've asked a few times.
Oh yeah, they're definitely catching them, man.
Yeah, I think he's out with the Carpenter.
He's up with the Carpenter and Will at Gajo Baits, man. So Will knows all the wintering holes up there, man. He's dialed in. They caught some walleye burgers, man. The old goggle eyes were out there, big. I think they caught like 100 when they first got there, and there's some nice smallies.
Here's a good question. I think this is a very important part of warts or mid-depth crankbaits. Your rod. Guys have asked, do you like a nice soft rod? Do you like one with just a lot of tip? What rod are you using, Pangrac?
I want to use a rod that has a very deep bend in it. Typically, you're talking about cold water. You're talking about a slow-moving bait, and a lot of times, you're going to say the rod that I would use with it. You're going to say there's one every time you hook a stick, a bag, you get moss, something on it, because that fish is going to be cold. He's going to be lethargic. Typically, where you're throwing a wart, you don't have to worry like with a square bill, like you're not throwing it down a lay down where you have to pull them out. They're not going to be super hot fish. I want that rod to load up into the wart, and I like when you're cranking it, when one eats it, I like that rod to load into the fish before you move the fish.
Oh, yeah, man.
And that's probably the only crankbait rod that I like, that I want super soft with a deep bend.
Yeah,
in it.
that's how I've always fished crankbait. I actually have it's basically my jerkbait rod is what I use. So and mine's a custom rod, so I really need another one made. Those old school Loomis, you know what I'm talking about, Eric? The deep flex.
That's all I throw, man. It's the Loomis. I like an 843. Maybe an 845 for a rock crawler because it's getting a little bit deeper, but the Deep Flex series is awesome. But the original 843 or 845, you know, CBR, it's graphite glass, and it's got a nice parabolic bend, man.
One of the old school rods that was really good with a wiggle wart was Quantum did a series with all their different guys, and Swindle had a cranking rod that was an absolute noodle. Yes. And I believe it was gold with like a foam handle.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, literally, you could not tell until you saw the fish whether you had a 13-incher or a 3-pounder on. I mean, every single time it loaded up, you're like, that's a big one. It's just a deep bend, you know, right
it's
up.
Like that S glass, man. Was it made out of S glass, or
No, it's just a
noodle.
I've had some people ask here, how do you know if you got a new wart or an old wart? The easiest way to tell if it's a pre-repellent wart, unless they just been fished to crap, and sometimes you'll get that, is on the bottom of the bill. If you guys, I don't know if you'll be able to see it on my webcam, but it says wiggle wart. The new stuff is stamped storm. So if there's a storm stamp, it's definitely post-repellent. But if it's got wiggle wart there, it's a OG. Now there is a molding difference too. This one's actually, you can tell it's two pieces. It's got a seam down it. I think some of the new ones, the seam is perfect. The old ones, they're offset. Some of the bills, you can tell, like part of the bill is a little bit longer than the other one. But whew. And then we got a $5 donation from R. Button. Thank you so much for that $5 Make You Holler. Appreciate the help on the stream.
So run through some of the basics real quick, like just an OG, because this is what a lot of the guys that I've fished around here with, there's just like 2 or 3 things you want to look for in an original wiggle wart when you see one at a garage sale or at a pawn shop, or someone's like, hey, you want to spend $50 on this? So the first thing I'm going to look at when I look at a wart is, this is an OG right here. There it says wiggle wart, stamped bill right there, all good. So I'm going to look at the back of that bait, and I need it to be smooth. I'm going to look at it from this angle. I want it to be symmetrical. These things have a really bad habit of bloating.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll end up where they'll just look a little eggy, there'll be a hump in the top back, and that's just from expanding, contracting. That's typically someone who either had that thing in the back of his truck and it got hot and it got cold. The next thing you look at on that seam is you'll see the line on the seam. That's fine. That's one of the things that makes that bait hunt, like Baitman said. However, if that thing has gotten hot and stuff, that seam will actually expand, and that seam will be about a 64th of an inch wide instead of just a line. Now, you can still fish the expanding ones, but it typically is not as good as a bait that is not, that plastic hasn't expanded and contrasted enough, because all it is a fault line in it, basically. So you want it to be smooth. You want a nice, tight seam on the back of it. And then one of the things that all these do, they all rattle, but like here, that one, it doesn't rattle. So one of the things that happens in this, because they have a lead rattle inside of them, I mean, they're 25-year-old baits. They'll get a little dusty. They'll get a little stuck. Yeah, so you can take just a...
Careful, Matt. Oh. No, Matt, don't do that, man.
Yeah. I can hear it.
Yeah.
Now it's rattling. So some people prefer to keep the rattle stuck because it keeps it just a little bit off center on that with the weight. But you can take it and just tap it on the table, and you can get that thing rattling again. So those are the things I'm looking for. Obviously, the belly stamp on it that it says wiggle wart. Some of them are super crisp, pristine. Some of them, I mean, they have ones that are fake. That don't work. But I mean, those are just like 4 things that you can basically look for in an original wiggle wart to see that if it's worth any of your if it's worth your money. And if all those things kind of check out, then I mean, you're kind of on the right track to having a good wart. Would you not agree, Eric?
I would agree. You nailed it, man. And I'll say one more thing. If you see some of those old style hooks on it, and really super thick split rings, man. The split rings of old, I don't know where they were made, probably USA. They are hard to open up, and they were way thicker than they are today. Probably a USA split ring versus a Chinese split ring. So
there's one of the thick split rings right there.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a good question. Now, James Barron asks, do they lose much value if they've been custom painted? I'll be honest with you. A lot of the guys that are paying big money, they'd rather have a beat up old one than a new custom painted one. That's just my opinion.
I'd agree. I mean, a custom painted one is good. Most of the people will pay $12 for a like a metal finish one and then have it repainted. I know you got some of those, Eric.
Oh yeah, but man. I mean,
there's some of the repainted ones. There's a blue one.
That's
I will say that any
OG that shine down.
Any OG wart, I don't care if it's bright pink or if it's whatever paint coming off. It's a $10 bill. because there are guys that want those old nasty ones because they're just going to get them shined up and repainted, as long as they're not like bills cracked and stuff like that. But
yeah, I would say if you're having them repainted, make sure they just put a little piece of tape over the bottom of that thing. I mean, if you never plan on selling it or don't give a crap about it, then do whatever you want. But it's kind of cool. I mean, there's literally no redeeming value in keeping it other than, hey, if someone wants to buy it, they're literally just taking your word that it's an OG Wart then. But you can just put a little strip of paint on it there and keep that original stamp that came out of that Norman, Oklahoma factory, and you're golden.
That's right. Matt mentioned the fake copy warts, and they are out there, guys. There's a body, and they supposedly made it exactly the same. Well, A, it's not exactly the same because they didn't get the weighting right. B, it's not the same plastic. It's a much lighter plastic, way higher buoyancy. That's the difference between that milky plastic that's butyrate and, I don't even know what the cheap clear plastic is today, but they're out there. So
the price range is obviously different. The craws tend to go for more because they're used so much in the Ozarks, and they do have a craw imitation. I would say the Phantom Brown is probably, or the Phantom Green is probably the most sought after one, which would be that one right there. And they're a little bit kind of translucent, you could see, and those are probably the most sought after. They also did some different runs, so like I got a cool story behind these two right here, which is kind of a unique color.
That's a color I'd throw right there.
Yeah, so I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Eric, this was a Bass Pro only color.
They had some exclusive.
So they had like a 5 exclusive colors. So I actually was in Florida, probably freaking 6 years ago now, shooting an In the House with Shaw Grigsby. And Grigsby was in his garage, and it was basically like cribs for bass fishing that we used to do on Bass Zone.
That's
and
awesome.
He had his tackle boxes from the Bassmaster Classics, where they used to have like 30 pounds of tackle and 10 rods and whatever. So after each year, he would just leave all of his lures in there kind of as like a memento thing, close them up and put them away.
Like a time capsule.
Like a time capsule. So he opened one, and he had these OG Warts in there. And I'm like, oh, dang, those are freaking cool. And he's like, you like those? He's like, they're yours. Like, no, man, there's no way I could take these things. And he was like, no, man, this is fun. Like, you'll appreciate them. He's like, take them.
Wow,
so those two Warts were in Shaw Grigsby's tackle box in one of the 1980s or 1990s. And it would have to been like late 90s or something. Bassmaster Classics, and those came from Florida.
Dude, that's awesome.
I love it, man.
Shaw is a heck of a guy. Every time I've been around him, he's just the most upbeat person I'm around, and I really like him. Like, he's just a dude I want to go fish with because I know I'd have fun. You know what I mean?
Heck yeah, man.
He still catches them. Like, last year I watched MLF, man, and Grigsby's always right up there.
Oh, yeah.
He's one of the godfathers of sight fishing, I think.
Oh, yeah, no question. Did either of you guys get into throwing the magworts, man? There's a lot of people on the stream.
I'll tell you my magwort story.
I threw one last week on the Potomac. I didn't get bit on it, but I threw it.
Magwort is an amazing bait for trolling for sauger. It may be the #1 sauger bait I've ever used.
Come on, man. Wow. How about that? Matt, how about you? Ever thrown it?
I've got some. I've got a couple, but
what's the story? What's the big butt, man?
I don't really have a time where I just don't know when I would be like, you know what, I need to tie the magwort on. I've thrown it in really muddier water in the Ozarks as opposed to it for big. I've never had a great amount of success. It just magwort has such a different sound. It has 6 or 7 of those BBs in there, as opposed to, I mean, here's one. Hear that?
Oh, yeah.
As opposed to, I mean, it's such a bigger, obtrusive bait, and typically you're going, small, natural, subtle, craw imitations, and I know guys throw them, but obviously they don't throw them as much, because if you look at the demand for the magworts, I mean, you get, I mean, so these are the two, this shows you the difference in the sizes. that bottom one, those are two exact baits in the exact same color. The one's the mag wart, the one's the smaller. I mean, this is probably a $40 or $50 bait, and this one you can get for probably 10 or 15.
Yep.
Also,
and it moves. It moves a tremendous amount of water, man. It's crazy.
There's some guys that really like the wee warts.
Get that thing crawling.
They got a wee wart, and then they got
flat wart.
Flat warts. I do like the flat wart. I'm not gonna lie. I try to keep that one kind of down low. I had a few.
Now, what do you use the flat wart for? What did you like it for?
Get real finessey. So I love that Lucky Craft, the skeet bait, skeet Fat Mini DR. That little flat wart's very similar. I don't want to get started on Lucky Craft again, but if you can find the old ones. Again, I've been on eBay studying again, Eric. I figured out how to find the difference between the old skeets and the new ones.
That's a Mike's bait. That's a Lucky
US
Craft.
Shad 65?
US Shad.
Oh, yeah.
That's a US Shad, bro. Yeah. Is that a jerk bait or a crankbait or a crossover?
That's a crankbait.
All right, I'm just going to come right out with it, Matt. Tell us some of these secret crankbaits that these pros do not want to talk about.
Here we go.
I mean, dude,
I'm going to have you tell us, that way they can blame you instead of me. I get that all the time. Like, why would you show that on your show?
I mean, legitimately. So, I mean, I covered every single Elite Series tournament. I mean, I literally was on the water for them, in the boat with those guys every day for every tournament. And there is not a secret bait. The only thing that's secret are the East Tennessee balsas.
Oh, balsas.
I mean, and I haven't really gotten into that, but everyone's got their favorite maker and their favorite reason for it. And I mean, everyone knows about the Wex and some of those baits, but I mean, as a whole, I really think a lot of those guys catch them on crankbaits because of where they're throwing.
Right.
Like, I mean, there's crankbaits that work good, and there's a lot of guys who throw the H2O Express, the Academy Square.
Dude, I know a lot of pros that buy those.
I mean, I would say, if I was to say a secret crankbait of the pros, it'd be a freaking Academy Square bill for $3.99. I'm dead serious.
Dude, Clark Ring told me he has a box full of them. He said, dude, I was in a pinch at a tournament. I went Academy. I needed a chartreuse black. They Strike King, everyone's out, but they had all these H2O, so I bought like 3. He said, dude, they freaking smash. He said, and they're $3.99. So
it is. If you take the little teardrop H2O thing off the bottom and put any Japanese manufacturer on the bottom, they're a $15 bait.
Right. Yeah.
You can't tell if you throw an American, or is that not? You won't stoop to those levels.
No, I don't have an Academy near me, man. I mean, I'm a Dick's guy. So when I saw like the Excaliburs for $1.99, I bought every one of them because I'm like, wow, it's a great square bill. Yeah. It's a cheap price. Let me just load up, and I'll throw it anywhere and not even worry about losing it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So if there was Academies, I probably would have been mine.
Yeah, Baitman Jr.
Which is also,
loves the Academy.
Before we move on from the difference, which is one of the great things about a rock crawler, while at $11.99 or $9.99 or whatever,
you get it anywhere.
Like, you can throw this bait and you can replace a red bug rock crawler. Like you could have
to freak
8
out.
of them. Like
right.
It's not like, I'll be honest, for me, like when I'm throwing this bait right here, it's not an enjoyable experience for me. It's very stressful.
Like when $100,000 on the line. All right, Matt. There's $100,000 on the line. The fish are in 6 to 8 foot of water. What bait are you going to put on? 6 to 8. 6 to 8. I'm
gonna start with the rock crawler to see if I can get a reaction bite, because I can cover more water with the rock crawler efficiently. But I'm tying on, if it's in an Ozark Lake or anything, and it's the crankbait bite, I'm throwing the OG Warts. That's why I've got them. That's why they're all fishers.
What pound line are you throwing the rock crawler and OG Wart on, man? I know a lot of people have been asking about rod reel setup, but 5 3 to 1.
I kind of wimp out.
All right, talk to me, man.
I bet you it throws 14.
I like 12 or 14.
What?
Yeah,
on your wiggles?
I just can't bring myself to throw an OG on 8 or 10.
Dude, I throw a 10XD on 10-pound fluorocarbon. You're over here throwing a Wart on 14 pound.
Yeah, but you can get them 10XDs cheap.
That's right.
Man. We're talking about.
And I'm also if I'm on a wart, I know that thing is down there around the rocks and it's in the thick stuff. Now, this is that Sunline Crank FC with the diameter and the slickness on it. You can throw 14 and it feels like 10. I'm serious.
It's good stuff.
It legitimately feels like 10.
What line
it's Sunline Crank FC. It's got a purple label on it.
Really?
It's. Okay. I thought it was. I'm gonna get in trouble for saying this. I thought it was repackaged, just repackaged sniper or shooter or something on it. No, like not a gimmick, but I just thought it was like, oh, let's just call it crankbait line.
Here's some pre-stretched fluorocarbon. We'll call it crankbait line. Yeah.
It's honestly
the legit deal.
Yeah. You can cast farther. It's true diameter, Japanese diameter. So I mean, you spool it and it feels like 10 or 12. That 14 does. It's slick.
Yeah.
It doesn't. I mean, you can keep
the memory in cold water because I really hate cranking super cold.
It has a little bit of memory, but not bad at all.
Gotcha,
not bad at all.
Some floors get really stiff.
This is the limpest, smoothest casting. Like it feels like butter when you cast it.
Man,
like I mean, try a spool. Hit me up afterwards. I want you to try a spool because you're a cranker.
Yeah, definitely.
Man.
You've tried it.
Eric getting some kickbacks off the stream. I like it.
Have you tried it?
What
yeah, man. I don't have any right now. I used to use it all the time when it was called Reaction FC. You remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I tried the Reaction FC down in Florida for the Harris Chain Championship on my chatterbait rods. That was the first time I bought. I didn't see any difference. You know what I mean? So it wasn't like, but on a cranking rod for sure. Like right now, believe it or not, because I'm not tournament fishing, I'm just throwing mono, man. And I'm telling you, I'm so much happier in colder weather because I don't get the kinky stuff going on. It's just buttery smooth, you know, and it's super limp and stretchy. And that's what I want when I'm cranking. You know what I mean?
That's what I tell guys all the time. If they can't make their mind up, just find a good mono you like. Mono's good for cold water because I don't mind the stretch.
Sure.
And it's smooth as butter.
And plus, I'm not spending $20 on a spool. You know what I mean? It's like if I burn it, I'm not going, oh, damn, there goes $12 worth of line. You know,
I'll be honest. My old Sunline rep always takes care of me. And because I use the crap out of it. I use Assassin. I think it's a good blend of not the price of Sniper, but it's still good and sensitive. And it casts really good on a crankbait. It's not quite the reaction, but I can use it for about anything. I really like Assassin.
I used to love the the Fluoro Clear. But man, I started to see that if I got a kink in that line and I go to pop it off, I would break the line sometimes right in the middle of the spool. So I started to not trust it. But P-line is what I'm talking about. Fluoro Clear, that fluorocarbon coated copolymer.
I see Dave on. He knows his Sunline. He said that reaction is totally different than the crank. I never used the reaction. They've got the chatterbait line out, that Dew Strike.
Yeah.
I have not tried it. I would like to give it a whirl.
It looks badass on the reel. It's like a camo deal, and you're like, oh, this is what Brett Height throws. I've got his bait and his line and his. I mean, it makes you feel good.
I ran into a guy on the internet that said he would like to tell Brett Height he's been using the wrong rod for chatterbait, and I said, I'm like, dude, you're going to tell Brett Height he's using the wrong rod? And he said, oh, I'll say it to his face. He needs to quit using a fiberglass rod. I'm like, bud,
how much money is
you know how much money that dude's won? I mean, it's like telling, King Griffey Jr., hey, man, you're using the wrong batting glove.
Oh, my gosh. I like the precision wound. I forget what it is. It's from...
Cigar?
Oh, my God. No, the monofilament that I'm using. But look, guys, there's two types of mono and fluorocarbon. Fluorocarbon and mono, when they wind it on the spool that you buy from the store, precision wound means that the line is not wrapping over itself on the spool that you're buying. It is, each strand is right next to the other in precision. And so there's no kinking of the line over time. And you talk about buttery smooth when it comes off the line.
It makes a huge
difference.
So
I prefer, no matter what I'm buying, precision wound. Anyway, so, and it's pretty cheap. I find it at Dick's Sporting Goods again.
Now we're all up online.
What do you mean? Oh, I know.
Pangrac said, "What's the topic?" He texted me, said, "What's the topic tonight?" And I said, "Well, this and this," and then we just go all over the place.
Suffix is the brand.
Suffix makes good stuff.
But it's buttery smooth, dude. I used it in the championship. It helped me get that trophy behind me, man. It was just buttery smooth. Cranked up some nice fish out of a hole, and then fired right back in with the big worm, and Called a lot of them
Shout out to Sean Law
awesome.
in the stream. He says he used that canine. A buddy of mine owns that company. He's from Nashville, and that canine line is pretty good.
Canine. Is it good?
I'll get you both hooked up with the crank. I'll send you each some spools of the FC crank, and then you guys can get on your next live stream and let me know what you think.
Send it to Eric. He does more fishing than me. I got 2 kids and a wife, and I build windows. So we're gonna work on that next year.
Thanks, Baxter. I appreciate that, man.
You're good enough to come up on the streams. We all know everyone's here for you and Pangrac. I'm just the middleman.
I see you do all right, y'all. You know, when you're streaming by yourself, brother.
Hey, we do got 302 people in here tonight. Make sure you guys smash the like button and all that. We need to get back up to the 400 or 500 numbers. YouTube's been stingy. Everybody's numbers down. I looked last night, and Ike Live had 70 people on Facebook and like 120 on his website. I'm like, man, he's got to be tripling that.
Yeah. So Panger, while we're on the Crankbait and Baitman, I'll throw this to you too. So on a stream, we had Chad Morgenthaler and Dave Mansue come on, and we were talking about crankbait.
Yeah, I was awesome. On the chat on that.
Yeah, and we made Morgenthaler get in his boat and break out his Wiggle Wart box. And both of them, I can't remember. I know Dave said this, but Matt and Baitman, I'll throw this to you. A lot of the old school pros, and I'll consider both of them old school pros, they're like, you don't need fiberglass cranking rods anymore. The Graphite have actions that are like enough of a fiberglass, parabolic bend action, and they can feel a whole lot more. Are you down with that, Matt? Do you have any fiberglass in your boat in a cranking rod anymore? Look, you're fishing at another level than I am. I consider you semi-pro. You're going pro. You are.
Yeah,
pro.
Man.
Come on.
I've never been a huge I've never been like that old school. You have to have the fiberglass or composite. Like I like a tip on it on pretty much every rod, except like I said, when it's super cold and you want that thing to load without feeling it. But I've never been you got to be a glass guy. You got to be a fiberglass. Like,
I think that's why
I just never got into it, or the parabolic bend versus. It's just, I mean, if I keep if I like I said, here's my theory on it. If I start jumping off a lot of fish, then I'll start looking at my rods. If I start breaking off a lot of fish, then I'll start looking at my knots. If I start losing a lot of fish, I'll start looking at my hooks. But as long as I feel like I'm maximizing my bites, I'm comfortable with it's in the same thing. I'm using the same rods. I'm tying a Palomar knot, and I'm using the bronze Gamakatsus.
Oh my God, is there a better hook?
Once something starts going wrong with that, then I'll look at it.
EWG or round bend on your rock crawler. I saw your rock crawlers. You had round bends, it looked like. Do you change them out? Are those Gamakatsu number 5s on that rock crawler?
Yeah,
I think
that's
so,
the
right?
thing. So the
black nickel.
A black nickel number 5. And so you want to get you get a rock crawler like this, and you see it's a black hook. It's a number 5, and it actually looks like a small hook for that bait, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. It could hold a 4.
You are like, hey, let's bump it up. So this is interesting. I did this. So I bumped this one up. This was probably one that I had from.
Ooh, I like that color. Let's see that color.
I bumped that up and I put the 4 on it, and I'm like, dude, these things it doesn't. I got a rock crawler that runs like crap. You can't really upsize your hooks on those big, in my experience. Like if you go to a 4 or a 3 or something like that, that rock crawler's designed around a number 5. In my opinion, it's kind of like a 110. Like you start jacking with those out barbs, and now you're like, this thing's floating, this thing's sinking. That number 5 hook, and you can replace them, with the number 5s too. But that rock crawler is designed around it, and I think you're getting a lot of guys who are getting it snagged and stuck because they're going with those bigger hooks. And that round bend, I like a round bend with, and some of the wiggle.
Show that color again. Everybody wants to see that color again.
I don't even know what that's called. It's got kind of an orange top.
I don't think that's spring crawl. That's one of them newer colors, isn't it? It's kind of like a pineapple.
Yeah, I've had it for a couple years. They got some.
I bet it's spring crawl.
This past weekend, I got to see
some of the
colors. It looks like
their spring crawl bait, man. That's what I'm thinking. It's like a spring crawlish kind of color with that burnt orange back or brown back. All right, so that's the number 4s you put on.
And I need to go back to the number 5s. 100%.
Wow.
That bait is runs best with the number 5 Gamakatsu. You can use the bronze and stuff like that, but that black, it's a black nickel 2X Gamakatsu round
2X, 2X.
I believe it's a 2X on there. I could be wrong on that.
You know what?
Am I wrong?
I gotta look because I got the number 5 black NS from.
Does it look just like? Look at that.
Give me 1 second. I gotta check. I'm dying to know because I used the number 5 black, and I'm gonna pull it right out of my box here.
Or an extra strong or something. I think.
I hope you guys are taking notes in the chat on this because I'm just out in left field on hooks because I just leave mine stock 90% of the time.
Matt, I think, dude, I think you're right. I think they've made that special for that bait because you guys are not going to be able to see it. I've got number 5s right here. This is the black Gamakatsu that I'm holding, number 5. And it's not going to do me any good to like try to hold these up for you guys to compare.
It's just a little meatier.
It is a little meatier. I'm going to say, yeah, that's a custom hook, man. Here's a question for you. It's really hard to find the black or red, and I have red number 5s as well, but I love this number 5, and it comes in red. And what's cool about this is that, you know, sometimes on some of the baits, I'll change out the bottom hook to the round number 5. But beneath the red paint, it's gold, and
that scares me.
But the more it seems like the more they chew the red off, for some baits, like especially on a fire tiger, the better they bite it. I swear, it's so crazy, man. Now you got a little bit of gold flash going on, but anyway, it's just a little bit of where do you get your number 5s?
Melon crawl. Yeah, I was about to say that.
Where do you get your number 5s, Baitman? Where do you get your number 5 gummies? Matt, where do you get
Actually,
them?
A local store here has a bunch of them. And place I used to work, and when I first got there, they had tiny fish department, but they had like number 5s and number 3 Gamakatsu round bends. And
a lot of people don't know they make the 3 and 5.
Yeah, so
they have it in bronze?
Yes, and they were bronze.
Damn.
Like John Cruz did a video there. The first thing he says, "Dude, I can't believe they got these." But
the bronze round bend, especially in cold water, because a lot of times, so unless they're totally engulfing it, you've got fish that aren't. I mean, they're not attacking that bait; they're just kind of sucking it in, and I just feel like you get more when
these Eric. These are I've talked to a couple guys that said this is the next best thing, and this is the decoy. The YF. It's a round bend, size number 3. I got these for some bigger bosses and mid-depth diving cranks, you know, my DT flats. But hey, we got a $20 donation right here from Old Toad.
Wow!
Thank you, Old Toad.
How about that?
Merry Christmas to you too. Thanks for the entertainment this year. I appreciate it, man. I just try to. I enjoy streaming, and I just want to educate people.
That's awesome.
I always say I'm not a pro, but I got a lot of baits and a little extra time. So,
so Pangrac, what's your crankbait rod? And then Baitman, what's your crankbait rod? I've talked about my Loomis, man. Can't get them anymore. It was a fiberglass graphite composite, which I thought was the best of both worlds with the right action.
So if I'm throwing something like a rock crawler or a wiggle wart, and I also throw my jerk bait on this rod. Like I said, it's a MHX blank. It's a full graphite rod, and a guy from Florida made it. And it's basically an 843, 7 foot, 843.
Oh, nice.
But it's got a lot of tip in it. And
sure.
There's a video of me throwing a Little John on it on my channel. One of the first videos I ever put.
Perfect. But
it loads up so good. Now sometimes I'll load up on leaves, but for throwing those. Yeah, man.
I caught some good shit on the Potomac cranking on
Listen,
those rods.
I'm telling you though,
bags,
that's what makes
it was awesome.
That's what makes it good though, because on a Wart or rock crawler or any kind of crankbait like that, especially in cold water, you don't have to worry about them jumping a whole lot. But what you do have to worry about is them really just dig.
Wallow.
Yes. So that real flexible rod, it takes a lot of that shock out. You know, like when you're fishing deep here on Kentucky Lake in the summertime and you hook one, usually they go right up to the top on a crankbait. So then you're like burning as hard as you can to ski them in. Well, you know, those fish start digging. You just want to let them kind of wear themselves out, but you got to have a rod that's got the tip and a soft backbone to wear them out. Because if you start trying to, I've seen guys catch them in the winter. I'll be with them and they'll be pulling the rod up and stuff, and phew, there goes the crankbait. You just, I'll even turn my drag down just a little bit.
Oh,
I don't know. Pangrac may be like, hell, I just boat flip them anyway. It don't matter.
What about you,
No,
Pen?
no. I mean,
what's your rod? What's your cranking rod?
So when I'm cold water cranking, I mean, a lot of my square bill and warmer weather stuff is going to be a 7-foot to a 7.2 with a medium heavy crank. I like to go a little bit longer. When it's cold like that, it just seems if you can get a little bit softer rod with that length, and typically you're paralleling with with the cold, so you're not doing little roll casts or underhand casts. I use that 7.6 Denali Covert. It's spelled with a K. It's like I think $149 or $150 rod.
Very affordable.
They
man.
are.
Their spinnerbait rod's really good, by the way.
Ooh.
And it's you can tell, like, when you're throwing it, it loads up right, and it's got a deeper bend in it. They make a 7.2 also that I like to throw my square bills on, but I'll typically throw anything in the warmer weather on a lithium in a 7-foot medium heavy. Or I'll even, if I'm throwing a square bill, throw like a 7.4 medium heavy, like just not even a crankbait rod.
Yeah.
To throw a square bill on. Yeah, I mean,
14, 17 pound test, 20. What do you got on your square bill?
14 to 16.
Yeah,
okay.
I mean, on BTO, we've had David Fritz on, who will sit there and say, well, you know, you're not getting any, you know, if you're, you know, he'll throw braid, but then you've got guys come on and say, if you're throwing over 12-pound test, you're not getting the maximum action because of the drag of the diameter of the line and what it's fit. And then you've got other guys that come on that are like, I square bill with 20. You know what I mean? It's like cranking is such a preference and feel thing.
100%, man.
100. I'll be honest. I think a lot of fishing's a personal preference. And at the end of the day, what really matters is where you're putting it. You know what I mean? Obviously, some baits outshine.
But the rod action, man, you got to have the right rod action for cranking. You can really shoot yourself in the foot if you do not have a rod that allows that fish to eat that bait. I'm going to stand by that.
Cranking is one of those few techniques, I think, you know, let's be honest, a 7-foot medium heavy or to 7.5 medium heavy rod, you can do 90% of everything with that. But if you want to be excellent and excel at crankbait fishing, and I say this because the guy I fish with tournaments, or used to, we still do. I just don't fish too much anymore with him because I'm working. Dude, I'm telling you, he has the crankbait rod thing to a science. And I have given him other crankbait rods to try, and he'll sit there and he'll dissect it, and he's like, it ain't got the right tip, or the backbone's this.
It's
and
a feel
I've
thing
seen
for
it,
him,
man.
right?
I've put what I thought was a great 10XD rod in his hand, 6XD, and he'll still get bites, but he can't land them. Doing the same, he's not trying to make it look bad. It's just, he's like, I'm telling you, this rod does this, and I'll throw it and have success. It's a confidence thing, but it's also, man, you gotta have a good cranking rod. And one thing I see, people ask this question on social media, hey, and they said to me, hey, Baitman, I want a good crankbait rod for square bills and up to 6XD. And I'm like, dude, I don't throw the same rod for a 5XD as I throw a 6 or 10. I don't throw the same rod for a 1.5 as I do a 2.5. I feel like it's one rod, I get really specific for each genre, as you could say, of crankbaits.
Would you not say the two techniques that are highly personalized where you are more effective with a rod? And I just said I've noticed this of guys who have 30 rods of the same brand and one 20-year-old rod on their deck in a tournament, and they're like, yeah, sponsors are cool with that, they get it. Finesse drop shotting.
Yep, they like those old Finwicks.
And cold water cranking.
Yeah, 100% agree.
The two things, like, you can find a flipping stick in a number of different brands that you can get, but that's like a shortstop's mitt or the curve of your stick in a hockey
great
game.
analogy,
like,
man.
You have something that you have learned with. It might not even be the greatest thing, but that's what you learned with and got confidence with. And now, you know, when it comes down to it, if it doesn't feel right, you're missing fish and you're losing fish. Whereas in a number of the other techniques, there's a lot of quality rods out there that you could get by with, and of course you learn the nuances of each one depending on what brand you go with. But those, in my opinion, are the two techniques where it really matters that you have 100% confidence and understanding of what that rod does and what is translating from the bottom to your hands.
It's funny you said drop shotting. I've seen someone, I think David Brown in the chat was talking about the Fenwick Elite Tech cranking rods. I know that there's...
Is that the old one with the yellow tip that used to be on it with the funky butt on it, and then it turned into black, and it had the 3 guides that attached to it?
And there's a lot of pros that really like that Elite Tech drop shot rod. I found that out by accident, and come to find out there's several guys that are like, man, I'm sponsored by so-and-so, but I'll pay big money for those rods. I'm like, really?
Yeah.
It's kind of like golf, though. There's guys that have that one sand wedge that's 15 years old that's grooved out.
Or putter.
Yeah, somebody just said that putter. I got a technical question on hook replacement.
Go for it.
So Matt and Baitman. So when you're replacing the bottom hook and then the back hook, how do you want to put the treble hook on the bait?
I want it so the treble hook folds like that. Yep. When it goes back, it should fold and with the 2 barbs there.
All right, now on the back hook, so that's the bottom hook.
Right.
On the back hook, how is that placed? So this is how it came stock on the rock crawler, right? With the 2 points on the top of the bait flush and the hook point down. Pangrac, how are you replacing it? Do you even pay attention?
Okay, I've heard this before.
You don't care.
Heard it, and I don't care. I've heard the whole
I'm in the same company as Pangrac
before about the 2 hook points and the 1 hook point. And it's like rigging a brush hog. If you ever notice, if you rig a brush hog on one side, the tails will splay out and the tail if you rig it on the other. Have you talked about that before?
Yeah, I have. Did a video on it.
But in the heat of the moment, am I worried about which way I'm rigging my brush hog? No, I'm putting it back on. So when I replace my treble hooks and stuff, like honestly, like right now in December, when everyone's stuck inside, they're all like, well, I'm going to go make sure I got 2 points down or 1 point up or whichever way it is.
The only reason I'm asking is
sell me on this, Eric.
Well, no, I'm trying to think through it. Like, for when it's coming through cover, right, am I more likely to snag if the hook point is up on the back treble versus the 2 hooks sliding over the cover? For snag purposes, in wood, let's say. Skip the rock part, right? But on the bottom part, you know, when that fish engulfs, right, he's eating the bait. Am I more likely to get a hook in him if I have that 1 point down? You follow me?
Yeah.
That's the only thing I'm saying. Because if they were both like this, riding, you know, the other way, I don't know. That's all I'm thinking. Direct pull. It's a better hook set. You know what I mean? Because it's correct with the swivel or the split ring.
It makes perfect sense on dry ground.
I'd have to see. Yeah, exactly. I'd have to see this thing come through the water, hit a stick, and see if the hook point was up. Did it catch the stick? And I'm sitting there getting snagged constantly on pitch ball.
But when you're replacing it, do you know which way to put it on to make the hook points down? Because I'm always just like, crap, that's not right, and then I'm not going to take it off.
Here's how you do it.
Junior?
Here's how you do it. So on a Gamakatsu hook, there is a little piece that sticks out on one side of the treble.
That's the one that's welded on.
That's right.
That's the 3rd hook that's welded on to make a treble hook.
That's correct. You want to have that if you're replacing the hook, that side towards your thumb. Towards your thumb. Like with your right hand, pinch the treble.
So you've really thought about this?
No, just because I've done it a million times. I'm always changing out treble hooks, right? For
so you're a believer that this makes a difference?
Only because I felt like sometimes I'm getting snagged more if I don't do it right. You know what I mean? And I'm like, give myself every advantage. Why not?
Okay.
Hate to interrupt. We got a guest.
Baitman Jr.
Baitman Jr. in the house.
What up, Junior?
What's going on?
Y'all make sure you check out Mark Menendez's channel to see Bait Jr. do some pond fishing. He's gotten way better at casting now. We had to get out of that Iconelli rod. We got something with lows with a little tip, and he can launch them. He just went and hung out with a friend. He went on a little trip. Where'd y'all go to?
Where'd you go?
Go ride a train?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah?
Whoa.
Christmas
like a real train?
Was it a real train? Eric wants to know. Get your hands out of your mouth. We can't hear you.
Yeah, it was a real train.
It was a real train?
But like half, it was half like, you know that thing where you, tractors?
You need a haircut.
It was half tractor, half,
Oh, half tractor, half train? Oh, so you went like a hayride thing.
Yeah.
Man, that's cool, man.
Well, hey.
All right, what are you wishing for Christmas?
Yeah, what do you want for Christmas?
Junior?
Eric wants to know, what do you want for Christmas? He needs new nails because he's chewed them all off.
Me too.
What do you want for Christmas?
What do you want, Baitman Jr.? What are you dreaming about?
You want any fishing stuff? What kind of fishing stuff?
Good stuff.
Good stuff. What about new tackle box? Yeah.
Oh man.
Do you go two treble hooks? Do you go two hooks up or one hook down? Baitman Jr.
Oh,
when you're changing out
when you're changing out the hooks on your baits, do you like your two hooks going up or down? There is no wrong answer.
Down.
Strictly
he says down.
Down.
2 hooks down.
He's the man. He knows. Boom. Yeah. There you go. That's good.
You need to start listening to you and Eric.
Go back.
You want to go back fishing?
No.
Oh, you want to go back to the Christmas thing?
I can go back to Texas tomorrow and.
Oh, okay.
And I can make gingerbread houses.
Oh, you're gonna make gingerbread houses tomorrow?
Oh man. Awesome. Hey, can you make me a gingerbread bass?
Can you make a gingerbread bass?
And let's take a picture of it on Instagram. Yeah, you can. I've seen you draw. You're good.
He is a good artist. All right, go draw us something while we talk baits. All right. Love you, buddy.
Good seeing you, Junior.
All right. Now that we have ended the debate on the double treble hooks, because Baitman Jr. says down, I had something in my mind and it's just gone now.
What?
I forgot what
heck. So
we got to answer some questions. We got to answer some questions here.
There's been a lot of questions.
Let's answer some questions here. Oh, this is. Oh, what I wanted to say is on the 2-hook deal, Eric. You know, I crank a lot of brush and all that. Here's the thing: it's not like when you hit a brush pile, all the wood is on the bottom. So you can hit a limb and that bait float back, and you can still get hung. With the top of the bait can still get hung. You know, especially if you get a bait that deflects hard. You know, sometimes you might hit a limb and it deflects off to the side and then just gets into another limb. So that's, true. That goes back to having a good crankbait rod where you got a good feel and a little give. I feel like those softer rods when you hit brush, you know, let that bait float back just a little bit instead of like graphite. You feel it instantly and you're like, oh, and then it's really hung.
Ah, interesting. Pangrac, when you were in Cumberland burning that frickin' rock crawler and you had Panoptics, could you see them following that rock crawler on your Panoptics?
Nope.
Never. Wow.
So here's what I figured out about that deal. So you go back and I watched all the live, obviously, with Andrew Upshaw and what the other guys were doing.
Yep.
And Andrew was catching the same fish that me and Travis were.
Yep.
Except Andrew was flipping the cracks in the rocks. So that tells me that those fish were super tight to those rocks and they would dart out and eat the rock crawler, whereas they would eat that jig as he kind of parachuted it down.
Yeah.
That rock base. So those suckers were tight to it. When they hit that rock crawler, it would just stop. I mean, which tells me that they're moving a long way to hit that bait because there was momentum behind it when they hit it, or it went completely slack, which tells me that they were moving,
coming driving.
They were swimming to eat it.
That's crazy. So
you know what I mean? So I think they were in the rock. So I couldn't see them. I couldn't see them on the scope.
Incredible.
Shout out to Sean Live for a $10 Make You Holler. Says thanks for bringing on Eric and Matt. Here's ice cream money for Bait Junior. Appreciate you, Sean. One of the good guys.
Man, that's
always
awesome,
in the chat.
Man. He is awesome. Hey Matt. So how many inches per crank? There's 41 on the new. What is it? The Revo Rocket. 41.
The 10-to-1.
The 10-to-1. How many inches per crank on the reel you were using? Was it in the 30s? 36?
I think it was 35 or 36. I was throwing.
Were you burning that reel?
Yeah. So that was a Travis deal. That's why working with someone else can sometimes work on it. So I was throwing it
on. I told him to burn it?
Yeah. No. I was throwing it on a 6.3-to-1, and he was throwing it on a 7.5-to-1 because he's got like fancy reels, and I was throwing the old Abu Garcia deal.
Yeah.
And after one day of practice, he's like, dude, I'm burning he was throwing a DT14 at the time.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm burning the crap out of it and getting bit. So then I jumped up to a 7-1. And that, I mean, I caught him. I mean, I had like 19 one day of practice on a 6-3-1, but I don't know why.
Oh my God. What the, I mean,
but I went up to the 7-1 and they seemed to get it more.
right.
Like there's two things. You either want to use that wart to keep it in their face as long as possible.
Sure.
You want to take that rock crawler and really get it down there, and when you feel it and get it stuck, kind of embrace the snag and try to finagle it out of there, and they'll eat it.
Yeah.
Or you want to burn the crap out of it. And that's the beauty of this bait, because it's a cold water bait that you can crank.
That's you can burn.
I mean, think about it though. Like how often does a rattle trap work? Like a rattle trap's a wintertime staple.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you're burning a trap. Like I think we give fish way too much. And I'm not saying. I mean, I think we give fish way too much credit for being quote lethargic.
Yeah,
like look how KVD was
like
working well, look at how KVD was working the jerkbait in 2013 on Grand. That one that Hank Cherry almost won.
Yeah.
I mean, Cliff Pace won it crawling a jig and stuff, but you watch all those guys, they're the jerkbait, letting it sit there and all that. And Kevin's just like, do. And I mean, he competed in that one, and he's like, man, I'm too ADHD to let it set still. You'll never see him let it pause.
Yeah, and then you got like
freaking cold water bait, and it's doom.
And then back in the day, you got Menendez on Pickwick, like counting to like 50, like throwing it out there.
Yeah. Oh, remember that? Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
I've told him to his face, it's the most boring thing I've ever seen in my life.
When you were burning that bait, Matt, like with a 7-1, because you're moving it so fast, how did you avoid getting constantly snagged? Because you don't even have time to react, like when your line's tightening up to back off.
Yeah, they were hitting this thing suspended.
Oh, you weren't even digging the bottom.
I wasn't hitting the bottom. I was burning it. So I think this is what it was, because I have a fish come. I spent a week on it, obviously, right? Sure. But there was different like rock, right? So there's like table rock, bluff rock, black rock, like chunk rock, and the way where I was getting bit, the rock was going down in the water. It's 35 feet low because of winter drawdown. Wow. So a lot of the transitions were above the water line, where it went from rock to sand or rock to gravel or something like that. But the stretches where I could find, and then what you could tell on your electronics, was that there was like another break like that 7 to 12 foot down.
Right.
So that's what I was fishing. So I was just kind of paralleling that break where it wasn't hitting anything, but I was 1.5 feet, 2 foot off of it. Perfect. And those fish were sitting right in that break, the cracks, the last couple rocks, boulders, ambush points, looking up. And then the red bug would come past, and I mean, they would murder it.
You keep talking about that LiveScope anymore, Randy Blockett's going to get a petition out.
Hey, he's cool with it now.
He is. Yeah, he changed. That was a great interview, man. Very much so.
I guess
unfortunately I couldn't get service.
I miss a lot of stuff when I, work nights and sleep in the day. I try to catch BTL when I can. Obviously.
Yeah, I mean, he's not like totally sold. I mean, but he's open to the idea now.
Yeah, I kind of want to talk about that for a second. I want to get off the cranking for just a minute.
All right.
And I don't mean this bad, but how much of an advantage now, especially in cold water when bass are suspended, is the LiveScope an advantage? Because, dude, that's probably one of the toughest bass to catch is a suspended fish.
Oh, man, right?
I will say this. Just because you can see them doesn't mean you can catch them.
True.
And you could have asked that same question in 2010 when side imaging was introduced and guys were graphing for brush piles on points. And did that change the offshore game? Absolutely. Does this change the game? Absolutely. We've seen what Lowrance just came out with, and Humminbird is coming out with, and what Garmin has had a jump on. And in 2 years, 98% of the boats will have it. And right now, actually probably starting 2 or 3 years ago, it's like the Alabama rig, where if you're first to the party and innovative and actually understand it, you can make a killing. And everybody who doesn't have it or hasn't thrown it says, oh, yeah, it's cheating, blah, blah, blah. It's no fair. All you have to do is throw it or have it, and you catch fish on it. And once everybody gets it, I think you're going to understand. a lot of the same guys who caught them before they had it, catch them after they have it, and it's going to be another tool in everyone's arsenal, and it's the progression of the sport, and you can't knock it because what do you knock it from? Well, what do you mean you don't have a paper graph? We have a flasher. That's cheating.
Right.
You don't have to read the paper graph, and then it's a 2D, and then a color 2D,
yeah,
and then a 7-inch screen. What are you watching? You watching Days of Our Lives out there? You know,
no, we're watching Bass Talk Live off the. We're watching Bass Talk Live, man.
Those were the LiveScope of their generation. I remember the first time I ever saw side imaging, and I'm like, whoa. You'll never be able to put a brush pile out again without anybody finding it. You just make 3 passes, and the guys caught their ass on it when they understood it and they got it early. So yeah, there's guys that are early to the party that completely understand it, that are kicking everyone's butt situationally, but. I mean, do I think it's going to ruin the sport or make every fish catchable or anything? No, it's just another.
I think you'll see a big difference, like Bassmaster Tour coming up. You're going to see some shallow tournaments, like, maybe it is a player, I don't know, but I think when it comes to sight fishing, a shallow flipping deal, not punching, because you can see under the mats if you know what you're doing, but just a solid flipping, dirty water, fishing laydowns, stuff like that, river style typical spring patterns. I don't think you're going to see where that just makes a huge difference. Now, where it wills, maybe they're fishing some pre-spawn stuff where fish are staging in stumps, off points, stuff like that, where that LiveScope imaging will really work. But
here's a perfect example of how I use. So Cumberland, I'm cranking, right? I'm not using the LiveScope. You can go back and watch it, my videos, everything on this. I just got it. And I mean, I kick the trolling motor out, and I'm going down the bank, and I'm throwing it, and I've got a drop shot on the front deck. 2 or 3 times a day in 18 to 25 foot of water, I'll see a piece of cover on the bottom with a blob next to it, and I just reach down, pick the spinning rod out, and pitch it to it. Like twice a day, it would start to swim off, and it would end up in my creel. So that's 1 or 2 bites a day that I wouldn't have gotten without it. Would I still cash a check? Yeah. Maybe probably would have still made, the top 10 there, but it definitely helped me finish 3rd. But it wasn't the only way. Like I said, it's situational, and I used it's super, and I use it a lot in less than 4 foot of water. I didn't go through a single trolling motor prop this year.
Oh wow! Just because you can see what you're about to run into.
Yeah, I mean, you know how many times you dead center a stump. And with that LiveScope, you could just put it in front of you and be like, well, there's a big old tree down there that I might want to go around. Or, I'm on the Arkansas River flipping reed heads in the open earlier this year, and you're in a backwater slough and you want to see where that little channel that you can get through is. Well, you can pan around and be like, sand flat there, little bit deeper there. So now you're not ripping your
That's the good stuff I want to know about. I'm not worried about seeing the fish. But seeing stuff like you're talking about, like, what we do here on Kentucky, like, we get out in the middle and fall, we get in these big flats out in the middle of the lake, and we're looking for those little ditches and stuff. Like, it'll be, 200 yards of a flat, and what we're looking for is that little ditch or depression that it may be 2 or 3 foot wide. That's where you want to make that pinpoint cast. And I'm sure if you had the LiveScope, you'd find that ditch and you'd probably see the bait or the fish in. But
Mega 360 does that for you too, a little bit. So I mean, right, 6-1, half dozen the other. I don't know how it's going to show you the fish as well as LiveScope. My first experience with LiveScope was I put it on Scooter's boat for our championship, and we went down to fish Hartwell, and you couldn't fish Hartwell, so we went to Lake Russell just to break the boat in because it was a brand new boat. Matt, I was flipping out because I had seen it a little bit on Travis's boat. I don't like to fish up front with him because, he zings it over my head. So I like being in the back. So LiveScope's not in play with me when I'm fishing with Travis. Anyway, I'm on the front with Scooter, and I'm dialing it in because, I'd watched my YouTube videos doing the settings, and there was this sign that said fish structure, like literally on a pole. I go, let's go over there. There's probably a few fish hanging around. We both had drop shots on because we knew a drop shot was going to play to try to get a limit of spots at Hartwell. Literally, shine it on the fish structure. I mean, it's instant. There are fish everywhere. I don't know if they're small, big, medium, or whatever. I go, let's pitch the drop shot in. First drop, boom. 13-inch spot. I was laughing like a schoolgirl, dude. Scooter, we stayed there for like a half hour, just absolutely wigging out, going, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Not to say that I couldn't have pitched it in there without seeing it and got a bite, just believing that somewhere there was a piece of brush. But seeing the brush and seeing the fish and watching my bait fall down and then watching the little spot go over to and eat it, I was like, holy shit, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I mean, it can also ruin your day when you're like watching them do it and not eat it, to where otherwise you'd spend 10 minutes, you make casts and go, well, they're not here.
Very true. Now, have you ever experienced that you've seen a fish, you've turned him, he rejected the bait, and have you made a color change or a presentation change or a line size diameter change to trigger a bite, or no?
That's where crappie fishing is the ultimate training ground.
Ooh.
Very interesting. Talk to me
Plus,
about
you can eat them after you catch them.
Yeah.
So would a color change, like this is like a little salmon worm? I mean, like sometimes these crazy fluorescent colors in the winter trigger bites for me on my tidal rivers.
What
right?
is that
like,
thing?
You know, so this is a zero salt. There's salt on the outside, but it is super soft hand poured. It's a salmon worm, man. So I look to like salt and other species to find little worms to put on the back of these crazy little shaky jig worms. You know, like this is a nojo worm, super soft hand pour, zero salt. It's going to be high float, and you know, and I've painted the head of that fluorescent orange. So I'm throwing that tomorrow on the river, man. I think I'm going to get a bite on that.
Guarantee you.
I just feel good about it. No doubt about it. And this is my Black Widow one I just tied up. That's pretty saucy too, right? Matt, would you throw that? Shaky head jig worm, bro.
That looks like a Grand Lake deal right there.
And the last one.
I saw you smashed him the other day on your story on Instagram. You had pigs with that thing in its mouth.
Yep. It's like a finesse shaky head.
Okay, let me ask you this: do you think it makes a difference that you've got the hair and the silicone and the painted head on that, or do you think if you put that lure in the exact same spot with just a 4.5-inch straight tail,
how would I know?
Worm?
How would I know, man?
I'm just saying, you know what I mean?
It just gives me the confidence that it's just showing them something a little bit different, especially when it's just sitting there on the bottom.
But if
I really fished
the boat or the back of the boat that wasn't getting bit, and you were with your concoction,
kind of like with my buddy that wasn't getting bit until I gave him one. Yeah, kind of like that.
Okay, so you think you feel like it does make a difference?
Yeah, I do.
So here's my question: then, like, why does that make a difference? Is it something closer to what they're eating? Is it why does a fish eat something that has a different color head and some fur on it?
Secondary action is what it's all about for me.
Okay.
So when this bait goes down, you know, you've got the trick worm that's just sitting there, whatever worm you're using. You know, some worms have a lot of salt. They don't have high float capability. So whether you're using a worm with a lot of salt or no salt, you've got the worm action. But then you've got this skirt that's just like breathing in the water, because a lot of the time I'll use this round rubber, right? It's silicone, but it's almost like living rubber. And so that thing, I should shoot a video, and I've done it before. I do it in my sink. The skirt's breathing. So I'm sitting there when I'm dragging this bait along, you know, I'm basically dragging. And when I find a piece of rock or wood and I'm feeling for it, I'm not looking at it because I don't have Panoptics on my Skeeter. So I'm going to places where I know there's rock, wood, drops, right on the ledge or your drop off. And I'm finding a piece of cover and I'm just letting it sit there and I'm shaking it. And so that secondary action is, I think, what gets them. It's secondary action.
He sold me, Baitman. Did he sell you?
Yeah, dude.
I'm
mesmerized. All right, here's a question that I can get behind. We're going to get off worms with goatees.
Yep, secondary action.
I actually do agree with Eric, by the way. Someone said bass get curious and they don't have hands, so they use their mouths. Absolutely. I don't think there's a better way to put that.
It's just secondary action, like that worm sitting on the bottom. Sure, the tail's doing something, but when you've got a skirt that's breathing, literally that round rubber is just so loose and crazy. There's like 12 strands. That's all I use. I use 4 on the bottom, 3, 7, 10, 13 strands. Maybe I should go 14. Right. Anyway, let's talk. I'm counting it out.
We're gonna go back to cranks. Great question. I feel we've answered this before, but this is a great night for it. Balsa. When it's cold, what's better, balsa or plastic? Now, I will say if you're fishing a bait such as a wiggle wart, the plastic is the way to go. But if you're going to fish something flat, it's got to be balsa.
I mean,
unless you throw
what's the best cold water flat bait ever made? SR5.
Yeah,
Shad Rap
number 5.
Could anybody argue it?
I don't think
Pangrac, you would. Might.
No, that's
maybe a flat A.
Dang good one. Like,
I mean,
if you were just to close your eyes and have to fish anywhere in cold water and say you have to throw a crank in anywhere in the country, like a Shad Rap's a pretty safe bet.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I would say
unless it's windy.
If I was a co-angler in the back of a boat on a cold water impoundment, I'd be throwing an SR5 in crawdad or an SR6, which they make.
Dude, I like to.
Maybe I'd go up to a 7.
I love the jointed Shad Rap. That's the one. That's the Mike Terry special right there. Crawdad number 7 Shad Rap.
Boom. That's what I'm throwing.
Do not throw that in Lake Martin, Alabama.
Why?
That's what they bite down there. Dude, I love watching those old Bassmasters. Like, you know, we see all the fishing drama about, oh, so-and-so moved in on me, and these are my fish, or the Lambert fiasco. And then this old Bassmaster, here's Mike Terry leading the tournament, catch him on a Shad Rap, Lake Martin. And he goes, yeah, that's my old buddy Mike Otten over there. Hey, Mike, let me catch one more. He just move on right in here. He catches his fish. Come on, Mike, come on. So here comes Otten with his, square bill runs it and gets his limit. That was cool, you know what I mean? And of course,
that still happens.
Yeah, I just don't think we see that as much. You know what I mean?
Does it
hey,
really?
it's not cool to show that.
You found that on?
That happens a lot.
That's cool, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The guys know. I mean, a lot of guys, you have one tournament, you share a ledge with them. 8 months later, he's like, man, this is the only freaking spot I got. You're cool with the dude. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you let him roll in.
Yeah, absolutely. I think
90% of the guys. I mean, is it as sexy as that's what I'm talking about with Matt Herron slamming it in front of Randall Tharp right there on both shoals? No, that was like one of the most badass moments in fishing history.
Yeah.
Where he goes, you see that? That just happened.
Yeah.
But that's how we like in all the sports. Like when they show the hockey highlights, they show the fights. When they show the baseball highlights, they show the manager getting kicked out.
That's right. It's like football. They always like to show the tackles where somebody's targeting. They don't show you the perfect form tackles. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, what? Next, we'll show you highlights of James Niggemeyer graciously letting a lot of people fish in his areas.
Yeah.
That doesn't have a great ring to it. But if it's like we're going to come back and see two guys that are fighting over the same stump, I'm sitting there watching.
That's right. I mean, let's be honest. True. You know what? Fishing is not drama. A spectator sport. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of difficulty in like putting together a broadcast and covering it live, whether it's Bass, FLW, Major League Fishing, whatever. I mean, I think really honestly, the coverage is really, really good. And then you have post-tournament shows like Bass Talk Live. That's really good at getting that secondary action, secondary coverage of an event.
Oh, he's got the secondary coverage down, man, dude. I love it.
Copyright that.
I haven't tuned in when you guys
Bass Talk Live, the best secondary coverage of bass fishing.
Dude, all right, I got a challenge question for both of you. So, Panger, you're going out on tour. Baxter, you both just got invites to the Elite Series, and they changed the format. Okay. No, as a fisherman. Oh. They've changed the format. They're going to limit you like the old Bassmasters Classic all year long to your tackle and your rods and reels. This year, it's 5 rods, five bait casting rods and 1 spinning rod, and a tackle box with only 10 pounds of tackle. First and foremost,
I decline the invite.
What?
You lost me at 10 pounds of tackle.
Panger, what's on your deck? 5 bait casting rods and 1 spinning rod. What's on your deck starting in the spring? And then you got to go through, each season.
Starting in the spring, I'm going to have a War Eagle 5/8 ounce Indiana Blade orange kicker on it.
Nice.
With a big chunky trailer on it.
Yep.
I'm going to have some kind of jerk bait, whether it's a +1 or a mixed stick.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to have finesse crankbait on it, like it just kind of depends on what the water is there, what the main forage is there, or some sort of crawfish colored crank. I mean, whether it's a like one like that.
Oh, is that a black label?
Maybe, that is a black label.
yeah.
Maybe one like that, and you know,
like
just
that one.
something that you can kind of finesse it in there.
Right on.
Is that those secret bosses somebody told me to ask you about?
No, the secret balls is with the black label. They're not secret. They're $14.99 on Tackle
Dude,
Warehouse.
Cliff Pace makes a
right.
great bait. By the way, he wants to come on the show. We're gonna make it happen.
That'd be awesome.
Dude, Cliff
All
Pace has the black labels down. I'm having Ned Rig on.
Oh,
Because a Ned Rig freaking catches them whenever. I can't tell you the last time I just caught him on a straight shaky head.
yep.
Or if it's closer to the spawn, drop shot with a short leader.
Yeah. How short?
There's something about it.
How short? 4
inches.
Yeah,
About the length of the worm, because there's something about it when it falls, especially if it's a bedfish.
Yep.
Every single thing goes down there and sits there and then hops out.
Yep.
Like if you move it, it hops out. If you have something that goes down and it expects it to keep going and it just stops, I think it kind of makes them go, what the hell?
What?
And then you can sit there and shake it and move it. And then if you want to put it on the bottom, you can just give it slack and it goes down to the bottom.
How
you can
long
also
is your
pitch
drop?
it.
How long is
No,
your drop?
it's like 4 inches.
4 inches.
Like
That's what. And then what are you throwing? Like what's on the business end? 4 inch?
Just a either a 4.5 or a 6 inch, either like a shaken squirrel or a robo worm or something in a bold bluegill color.
Oh, nice.
Something that's a little bit obtrusive, but with that short leader, you can be really accurate with it. You can throw it on 14-pound test. You can put a straight shank hook in it and Texas rig it.
Yep, 3-aught.
And you can
2-aught. How heavy is your? How heavy is your drop shot weight?
You got a $5 make you holler. Thank you, Anthony. He says for booking $5 for booking the dream team tonight. I appreciate it.
I want to go as light as I can efficiently.
Yeah, fair enough.
Typically a 3/16 to a quarter.
All right, Pink.
Lead or tungsten?
100% tungsten on the drop shot weight every time.
Round or cylinder? Sorry, man.
Teardrop shape.
All right, Pink, great.
Teardrop shape for two reasons.
Talk to me.
I like the way that it translates on the bottom because you have more contact with the bottom than you do with a cylindrical weight.
Yep.
It's more aerodynamic than a big round one where it's just like whoosh. So I think it's a smoother entry. The tungsten shows up better on your LiveScope.
Oh, wow.
So when you are pitching, because it's a lot more denser, and a cylindrical is going to be thinner, so you have more surface area on a teardrop.
Dude, technical stuff here. This is the drop.
Go ahead, this is crazy. Woo!
I love it.
So anyway, that's
you might earn yourself a second slot on the Baitman show, Pangrac.
What else you got?
Hey, let me ask you this, Pangrac. How many
chatterbait? You gotta have a damn chatterbait on.
Look at this guy, Pangrac. How many checks have been cashed on that little simple setup right there?
That's awesome, but I've never gotten into the damn thing. Dude. I always have one tied on. I have never smashed them on just like a easy swim. Like I've caught fish on them a lot. I've caught a lot of fish, but it's never been like have 3 rigged up. It's what I think I'm going to catch.
Dude,
it's like one here and one there.
This whole Kitech on the ball head thing, I've seen it in so many guys' boats. Are like, man, when I need a limit, I just got to get one bite and just pick this thing up.
Trust me, I've watched every Brian Thrift video throwing the dang thing that's out there, and all the guys that if you watch Castledine's videos this year, he throws it throughout the entire 8 Open Series seasons, and it's a deal. I don't have not confidence in it, but it's not one of my go-tos.
Getting a little spike here, up to almost 350 guys live. Appreciate you guys smashing the like button on here.
We're growing late in the stream, which I like, man.
That's what happened like last year. We get about an hour and a half in, all of a sudden.
All right.
We got a lot of questions.
Chatterbait. Oh, one more.
I'm holding back, Eric. I'm holding back.
He's got to finish. What else? Panger. You got to have a flipping bait on.
I'm going to have a BFE on.
That's what I thought.
Just some sort of beaver style bait.
Yeah.
With a 3/8 to a ½ ounce weight on it. And that's
favorite hook, straight or EWG?
I'm a straight shank guy, but I don't snell. And I've had this talk.
Oh. Another debate.
This is going to sound like a
I'm with Pangrac.
I had this talk with Brandon Polinick.
Yeah, do tell.
This was the deal where everybody's tying the deal where the line slides around the bait and it's 3 tag ends and all this crap. And I'm just like, dude, I've tied a Palomar since I was like 12. And I know how to tie all these other knots and like I just keep tying a Palomar for like everything. And he's
And
like,
it works.
I'm with you, dude. He's like, and this is what he said. He said, when I start breaking the Palomar, I'll start doing all the snell knots and all that other stuff.
Sure.
This was a couple years ago. I don't know if he's maybe graduated past the simpleton phase of just tying the Palomar, but I just like a straight shank with a Palomar.
Right. All right. For all the co-anglers out there, if they could throw one thing in the back of your boat, what would you have them throw? If it were a team format.
If it were a team format?
Yep. And their catch counted towards yours. If they changed and brought back co-anglers on the Elite and their catch got added to your weight for the day, what would you have them throwing?
It totally depends on where we are.
I know, but they can only have like 3 rods. They're limited to 3.
100% a chatterbait, because a chatterbait's a bait that, and you're in the back of the boat.
Yeah.
If you're close to the bank, you can parallel it. You can let it sink.
Sure.
You can fish it deep. You could have, so chatterbait, in my opinion, is one of the only baits that you can have both guys throwing it, and you're targeting completely different fish.
Sure.
And you're figuring out which, like there's fish that'll eat a chatterbait that's burned just under the surface bulge, and other fish where that thing's barely thumping along the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
Open water, and I mean, a chatterbait's hard to beat.
Yeah.
Definitely have them have a chatterbait tied on. Definitely have a Ned rig tied on for the guy. Like,
right? Not just a chatterbait.
Jackhammer. Jackhammer. The original chatterbait works too.
Oh, no question. It's called a million fish.
We don't even need to get into that. I've seen Eric's 90 billion European, Asian, Japanese, Scandinavian blades. He's like, now this blade from Uganda is mined out of the finest metal known to man.
Oh my gosh, that's
I'm
crazy,
just gonna.
man.
I'm gonna be honest. I'm very interested in that cross-eyed chatterbait.
The weedless one?
With any of those? I haven't messed with any of the new ones. I haven't even thrown the silent or the finesse one.
I threw it. I don't like it.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. Not a fan of the stealth blade.
Down.
It runs okay, but for me, the whole deal with the jackhammer too is a part of it is the sound the blade makes when it hits the head, and it kind of takes it away. I want the thump. If I want that, I'll just throw a swim jig.
It's so subtle, man. It's so subtle, dude. I couldn't get into it, man. And maybe I didn't give it a fair shake, but I did not like it.
It's an interesting concept, but, and this was another 20 feet deep that we did, but Ron Davis is the one who invented that. Rad, that's what it stood for. Rad, what it stood for. Ronald.
We're fixing to talk some 20 foot deep. I can't let you off the hook.
Dude, if you guys haven't watched it, man, watch that show that Pangrac put on, man. Thank you for that. That was awesome.
I say that in this, so like you have all these other variations of the chatterbaits.
Eric's got one. He's like, where's it at right now?
Oh, I'm looking, man. I'll get somewhere up there. Go ahead.
In the patent for that bait, the biggest thing was, and I'm gonna get this wrong, but it's like an oscillating head that stops due to contact with the jig head or something of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
To where that clicking noise, that sound, is what really was the patentable item.
Right.
That's why when they were going after all of the knockoffs, they went after the knockoffs that had the blade attached directly to the head. And that's why you see a lot of them that had split rings and different ways to attach the blade to the head, which got around the patent issue because that's where it was so important. The second thing that you'll notice is if you go back to the early packaging of the chatterbait, what did it come with? Twin tail.
Just basically a spinnerbait trailer.
Package,
the twin tail spinnerbait trailer. Yeah.
Dude, if you listen to the interviews with that guy, he's like, yeah, that's because you don't want a rudder system. You don't want that stuff. You want it to blow out.
Yes.
I talked a little bit about this last week, but it was designed to blow out like that at a quick rate. And if you ever take it with the twin tail and you burn and stop, that thing is just, woo! Dude, that's the magic in the chatterbait.
That's like, the O'Bagleys or whatever, square
Now,
bill.
guys took it and figured, so when you're fishing it in grass, when everyone, or around, what do? You rip it out of the grass. Well, what does that cause it to do with whether you're throwing the Zaco or whatever you're throwing on it?
Right.
That causes it to do that same thing that you can get in open water that triggers or strikes.
Look at that. That is a freaking bomb drop right there. And a lot of guys kind of know that.
Oh, yeah, man.
I'll be honest, my trailer selection on a chatterbait, I tried to do a show one time on chatterbait trailers, but really all I throw is a Zacho, and I throw that Hog Farmer Spunk Shed, and it's just a straight little tail, because when you run a jackhammer original chatterbait, you get that, blowout. Now, the jackhammer doesn't blow out as much as the old
Do you even need a trailer? There's a question for you. Do you even need a trailer? I had a co-angler in the back of my boat in a semi-national final on the Chickahominy River throw a chatterbait naked behind me and catch him.
Yeah.
He goes, I never throw a trailer because it had that, like, dual skirt. You know how it comes on the Strike King spinnerbaits, like with the longer
Pure poison?
Thank you.
Yes.
It was not a pure poison. I think he had it on original chatterbait, a pure poison type skirt.
I got you.
I'm like, damn. Opened my eyes. How about that? I don't know.
Let's talk about this 20 feet deep here. You did one of my inspirational guys, and see, I respect it because I worked for Mike Otten for several years doing classic patterns and Lost Lake. I'm a video guy. I know my YouTube videos don't really reflect what I do.
Loved it.
But Eric knows.
Love Lost Lake.
I can put some TV
Love
together.
Lost Lake.
But
Love Lost
I've
Lake.
always wanted to do like a fishing documentary. And what I liked about 20 Feet Deep is they're kind of raw.
They are.
The Steve Kennedy one, dude, I've watched it like 4 times.
Freaking fantastic. Iconelli. Who was the guy? Bob
Robert Hamilton, man.
Hamilton. Wow. I mean, how poignant was that, dude?
Yeah, that one was creepy. That one made the hair on the back of my neck stand up.
I literally just got chills, dude. I just got chills. Like he had that vision of winning. Like something spoke to him as he was driving over that bridge, man.
And then he saw the devil.
Yeah.
I had a bass partner talk to me about the devil following him in his life. And I'm telling you, dude, he told me the story, and literally I'm getting chills right now thinking about the story. That's 2 bass dudes that have had the Diablo in their life, man.
Yeah.
I couldn't hear it, man. Including a tree getting hollowed out by termites following on his boat. I mean, he said he saw the chupacabra on the eastern shore on top of his trailer. And I swear to God, Panger, the dude had tears in his eyes telling me. I'm telling you, dude, it freaked me out. Man.
Andy Morgan swears he's seen a chupacabra.
And his son verified the story, and there was no herb involved. I'm not involved. I can't even, man. I can't even. Makes you wonder.
I would love to be able to collaborate with Pangrac or BTL on a really awesome documentary. So I saw this.
What is the documentary? What's it going to be?
Here's the deal. I got a guy that lives next to me that Pangrac, you probably might know who I'm talking about. There's a photo Luke Clausen posted, and it was like the young guns from out west, and it was Clausen.
And the magazine cover, the Bass West USA.
Almost everybody knows those guys' name except for one guy, Jack Gadlich. And that dude won so many tournaments and so many boats out west, and he lives right down the street. Used to be my neighbor.
That's crazy that you said that, because I saw that picture and I knew who everyone was, and I had to go down to the blow up in the caption of the magazine to see who it was, and then I went, oh, that's Jack Gadlich, because I know the name and I'd heard the stories and stuff, but I didn't know what he looked like.
Yeah, so he's a maintenance man for some a company at the school system, I think, maintenance man for the school system. So the way Jack told me, like, he just moved here, and I'm like, dang, who's this guy? Got a Ranger boat and all this. Went over his house, talked to him, and he had a daughter. She passed away early this year. She was a great person, but she with special needs. They moved all the way from, I believe it was Arizona, all the way out here, or no, near Las Vegas, I think is where he lived. Out here because our special needs program in our school system is like top 5 in the nation. And at the time, Kentucky Lake was good, but that dude was drop shotting here, throwing spooks in 20, 30 foot of water, and just crushing them when nobody could get a bite. But I'd heard all these stories, and I said, well, I'll go over his house. Dude, I went in his basement, and he literally had, shoe boxes full of, plaques. And, he's telling me, oh, I won a boat in this tournament. There's he had all these boat certificates that he made copies of. One boat here, boat here, boat here. And then he invited me over to play cards. with, it was like Luke Clausen, him, John Murray, and a couple other guys. Just a super nice guy, but I really feel like he's kind of one of those guys that he put family very first over fishing, and I totally respect that. And you know, unfortunately, you know, his daughter passed away. His wife's a sweetheart, but I feel like he's one of those guys that was on the verge. He won an open. I mean, he's done it at the bass level. It'd be a good story. You know what I mean? Like, not a what if, maybe kind of a what if. Like, the guy from the West, the best out West you never heard of. Well, that sounds good. People like that, you know. People like stuff like that. You know what I mean?
They do. They love a redemption story like Johnny McCombs, or, you know, I mean, you know, a story of redemption is the most powerful and poignant to me. You know, a comeback, right? The underdog story, somebody who's been down on their luck, rising up from the ashes. I don't know, man. That's what gets my heart. But Panger, what's your dream 20 foot deep? If somebody would write the check for you to produce your ultimate all-time 20 foot deep episode,
That's what Chris mentioned it. I've mentioned it on BTL. I've actually sent him a couple Facebook messages over the last couple years. I've talked to a couple of his buddies about it, but I want to go down to Florida and just have Michael Bennett sit down and talk about how you win $1 million and are out of the sport 2 years later.
Yeah, how about Kevin Hawk?
What?
Kevin Hawk was super hot.
Wow.
The Kevin Hawk thing, I think, is just kind of like burnout. You know, then he went and guided at Gunnersville, and it was just kind of got over it. But, dude, there's some. You talk to 15 different people who know Michael Bennett. There's 15 different stories, and every one of them leaves you just like, no way.
Yeah,
I've
heard a few things,
but. And I'm like, no way. And they're like, yes way. And then you talk to someone else, and there's like another element to it. So I'm sure it's not as like chaotic as it originally seems. And you know, when I originally got into it, I wanted to even like
Brooke, shut that door. It's cold in here.
Sit down with Erwin Jacobs and have him talk about it. Because I mean, there's stuff where like a lot of people involved in it, which you know, obviously he passed away now, but I don't know. I mean, do I get it if the dude doesn't want to? Absolutely.
Sure.
Like, I mean, why would you want to go back? But I mean, also,
what happened to Brennan Bosley? Remember that name?
I fished with him.
No kidding.
On the Potomac, dude.
Really?
Dude, we drove across from the ramp.
He was supposed to be the next big thing.
Yeah, around Marsh Island. And literally, it's the first time I saw a skinny dipper from Reaction Innovations. And I was throwing the leverage spinnerbait and Cherry Bomb. My buddy Bob Cherry, that's the color. He made the color. Justin McInnes made it for him and released it. I bought the closeout version at Bass Pro Shop. So I'm throwing the Cherry Bomb. He's throwing the skinny dipper, and he's catching a boatload of fish. It's higher tide, water's over the grass, but they're all small. I hook a 3.5 pounder. The fish jumps. I lose him 10 feet from the boat. I'm like, oh man. So I sling that freaking thing right back out. I had a little group of fish fired up in this grass patch. Man, I miss another one. I missed like 3 fish in a row. Finally look at the bait. The hook is gone. You know how they welded it on aircraft cable?
Yeah.
I got the cheap Mexico version.
Oh.
Anyway, Brennan Bosley and I looked at him because we're casting nonstop. Literally, we went around this island, literally in a circle, 150 yards for the entire tournament day. Never left that area. So it was nonstop casting, spinnerbaits, frogs, and skinny dippers. And I'm like, dude, my arm is about to fall off. And he goes, I know. He goes, I can't even tell you how bad my shoulder hurts right now. And he goes, you know what the worst thing is? He goes, I'm going to have to get in my truck and drive 8 hours to 10 hours to the Detroit River and do it all over again. And I'm like, how do you even do it, man? He goes, a lot of leave. And so, I mean, I guess the sport, man, his body was hurting in that tournament. And I think that's just might have what happened to him, man. It burned him out.
Yeah.
It burned him out.
I tell you a good story. He builds baits, and we love his baits. Is Craig Powers.
Mm-hmm.
What?
Yeah, dude.
Brennan builds Craig's baits?
No. I'm saying Craig Powers is a good story. You talk about one of the best casters that ever set foot in a bass boat. Learned to build baits under Sonny McFarland. Had one of the first FLW team deals.
There it is, man. With a Gamakatsu
You got some
number 5.
You got some CPs there, Pangrac?
Right there, brother.
I don't think I did. I had one.
I mean, I love Powers like a brother.
Anymore.
He's dude. He messages me on Facebook all the time. We go way back, but he just fell off the planet. I owned a bunch of Domino's franchises. Don't own them anymore. Lost everything in his house. Was what I was told was basically sleeping on the floor in his house. Didn't have no furniture, nothing.
What? Craig?
Yeah, pretty crazy.
What happened?
Well, that sounds like me till about 2 years ago.
I'll be honest. I'd be living at home if I hadn't met my wife and kids. Man, I liked them free meals and free rent and stuff like that. But
Jeffries, if you're watching, I know you're ghosting us on this stream. Pay, give him a raise. Give him a raise.
Yeah, I hope Jeffries watches this back, man. Oh crap! We just got a $25 make you holler from Chicago.
Could I get
Epic Eric? Could I get 2 of those shaky jigs? Tom Sullivan,
man, hit me up on Instagram. I mean, I guess it's going to Baitman. So
yeah, I'll slide Eric some money for those jigs.
You just send me that box of bait you've been promising me, and I'll slide in the jigs,
geez.
man.
Yeah, I got that. I got some.
It'll get here in about February. I ordered some reels. Oh, by the way, I don't know about anybody else, man, but I've been a Shimano man forever. Pangrac, let's talk about your reels for cranking, and Baxter, your reels for cranking. What is the smoothest, best crankbait cast and reel you've ever found to date? What do you love?
All right.
Are you Shimano man? Yeah, Panger first, and then Baitman.
The original Revo winch, blue with the metal that weighs about 1.5 pounds.
Are you kidding me?
With the big handle.
I'm going to agree with Pangrac for 10XDs, or actually anything from a 6XD up. That old winch is freaking dynamite.
Really?
Hell
How
yeah.
about,
they're hard to get too.
Have you tried the new Tatula SV?
Absolutely. For balsas, flat sides, square bills, that's all I crank with now is Tatula SV.
I'm telling you what, man, that the Series 5 casts pretty damn fine on that thing too, brother.
Yeah, it does.
I was zinging that thing out there with no problems. Anyway,
y'all are on your own with the reels talk. Like I have a hodgepodge.
I know, Dave.
I've not. So here's the thing. Let me think about this. I've never fished with a Shimano reel in a tournament that wasn't a spinning reel.
What?
Yeah.
What are all your?
There's only 2 options when it comes to spinning reels anyway. It's either dial or Shimano. Like everything else.
Shimano's. The CI 4s.
Amazing reel.
Everything else is either Abu Garcia or Luz.
Really? Luz?
Dude, those old Luz BB1NGs. The first one I got, Menendez gave it to me when I was like 5. Well, that picture that was on Instagram of him at my house, he gave me some reels. Dude, those still work. They're good reels. I
know a guy, plugs. Captain Steve Chaconis. He's a guy on the river, man. But for everybody, there it is,
that's
man.
really old school.
That's it.
The old.
No anti-reverse, man. That's
nope. Playing the handle. Why did Fritz like this reel so much? The playing the handle.
Yeah, he felt like he could feel it more.
Yeah,
he felt like he could feel it more, man.
When a bass hit again, shock absorber gives the line to the fish.
Yeah, man, crazy, right? There it is, man. It feels good. I'm not a right-handed guy, so I couldn't crank with this, man. But the speed spool, dude. I used to love the Luz speed stick. The speed stick. Anyway,
what about those Hallman $15 specials?
Dude, those sound like cheese graters. Some of them are good, but here's the thing you have to realize. So, like, when Hallman was talking about those, that was before this year. Now he's like a finesse dude.
Yeah.
Like, we were just on Table Rock, and we ended up fishing the same gut, like, randomly out of 60 miles. Like, we pulled in there. He's, like, 70 foot down, finesse fishing out there and stuff. He's throwing Ned rigs and stuff now. Back when he was talking about those reels, the guy threw, like, a 3/4 ounce jig.
Yeah.
And flipped. He's very...
The good thing about the $15 reels is you can buy 20 of them, so if half of them don't work, you just throw them away.
Still uses them.
Yeah, I'm not much of a real snob, but I will say that, you know, I've always been a Shimano guy up until about 4 years ago. I started using the Daiwa stuff, and I'm impressed. But I will tell you, that old blue winch, man, dude, it's a beast for big crankbaits. And they're hard to find, man. And the guys that got them, they
in
don't.
Alabama rigs, too.
Oh,
I'm
look at
just
that
gonna hold
TK
up
goodness. Yeah, just
I'm
hold
just
up
gonna
baits.
do some. Just gonna hold up baits, TK man, for some just bait porn. If you guys want to see it,
porn.
you know, just some Bagley repaints. This is why you came to the stream.
The bait hub.
I'm just saying, man. This is why you came to the bait hub. Boom. TK, he paints with the fire. Matt, you need this thin fin. You don't know it, but you need it. I'm sorry.
And then does that thin fin actually run?
Dude, I used to throw these thin fins. This is Ozark Shad, one of my favorite cold water colors that Bill Dance, and the Ozark Shad and the Flat A, and you can find it in different bomber models, man. But I used to throw these when I was a kid, and I always would get a bite when I throw a stupid thin fin. It casts like a freaking potato chip, but if you could just stand casting such a shitty bait to cast, I don't know. There's something special about the profile and the crazy action of this thin fin that gets it done, man. I don't know.
That's another one you can't reel fast, can you?
No, it blows out. Now the Pogo Shad.
Yeah, I've gone down that road with you.
Do you have a Pogo Shad?
No.
I'm gonna send you one because I love me some Matt Pangrac. But black and blue, what do you think about that, man? It's kind of in the vein. I'm fascinated with like crankbait colors that mimic jig colors.
Let me ask you this. Here's a good one.
June bug, black and blue. What do you think?
There it is.
Man?
There's the weekly
June bug blood.
Look at that, dude. Are you kidding
I'm really
me?
upset that when you didn't get when you got the Bass Lab logo, Eric, your crankbait's not June bug.
I know, man. I know. I kind of.
Dude, that's a good looking logo. That's a good looking bait right there.
I know, Matt. This is your color right there. It looks like your Wart.
Slow fall on that?
What is it?
Like, I mean, it doesn't fall as fast as like a normal trap.
Well, here's the secret to this bait not many people know about. Why is this bait so effective on the fall? This thing on the fall corkscrews like a dying whatever. It literally falls not like this. It doesn't fall level. It frickin' corkscrews because of the tail. Mm-hmm. So it has this dying action. So like if you snap this out of the grass, it'll corkscrew for a second and then goes again. So it's that crazy, the bait's kind of dying. And I'm not sure it corkscrews on a straight fall. It might slide off. The same kind of deal that you were talking about a minute ago.
What?
But anyway, there's your bait porn for the night from Tackle Craft.
Thank you, Eric.
Maybe that's some goodness.
This question's been asked a lot. You don't have to answer it, Pangrac. We've been avoiding it. I'm going to ask it in a different way. Because I think I know your answer. How many guys on the tour are actually throwing Guggen baits? I'm trying to get the numbers up, too. Every time I mention Guggen Squad, the numbers go up.
I don't know. I haven't really followed the tour like as far as on location for the last couple of years.
Opens or anything.
Stuff. I'll admit I throw the rattling net.
There you go.
The rattling net is
You know what? I actually think that was a good idea.
All right. Why do you think a rattle makes a difference in a bait? Can they hear it?
Yeah, just in my head, if I just sit there and I'm shaking it, I'm like, ooh, it's rattling down there.
Yeah.
I mean, no, it's still a 3-inch piece of plastic. Do I think a fish is from 50 feet away is going to be like, what the hell is that slight tick?
Do you think it would make a difference if anybody made a tungsten Ned head?
They do.
They do.
Who?
Yeah, because that would
Swagger
be the same thing as
it's called the Flanders head. It's called the Ned Flanders. Look it up, Tackle Warehouse. Yeah.
Really? Is it a good hook?
Yeah.
I gotta have a good hook.
Yeah.
I mean, Guggen baits are good stuff. I mean, look at it. It's like the Kraken Craws, just like a Rage Tail, and I mean, there's a number. I mean, they catch fish.
Yeah, I mean, when it gets down to it, man, you think a bass really knows the difference between like a Sweet Beaver and whatever other brand. Probably not, but it's a confidence thing.
Yeah, I mean, there's slight stuff as far as Glide. I feel like Glide's big, and what it does on the bottom after it hits the bottom and about the first second and a half after the bait hits the bottom.
Yes.
I think that's really
If
important.
you throw
I
a
really
beaver in a pool, I threw mine like on a Texas rig and you don't have it pegged, and you just flip in the pool naturally, you'll notice the weight hits, and when that bait's gliding down, the weight hits, the beaver still kind of does this little spin-a-rooski on the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
It's cool.
And like with that BFE, the thing like I really fought for, so like Brad designed most of it, but I really fought for the kind of paddle tail on it that was really thin, because if you hop that bait, when it hits the bottom, that tail folds over and then it unfolds.
Secondary
and it just
action.
takes about
secondary action.
No, I'm with you. It takes about a half second for it to do it, but when you and I like to pop instead of drag. So when I pop it, I know that bait's hitting, and then that tail, it just gives a little something. But it's not big, because here's my theory on this. Hear me out on this.
Hey, this sounds good on dry land, Pangrac, but go ahead, sell me on it.
No, it works. So I want it subtle. So that's why the Ned rig works.
Yes.
That's why a Cinco works. That's why a beaver style bait works. Because when a fish is eating something, it's putting it basically in its lungs, because its gills are how it filters oxygen and how it lives. If that fish has damaged gills, he's going to die. What happens when you rip a fish's gill out? It turns light pink and he dies.
Sure.
So now let's say, like, a bluegill isn't going to affect it, because, I mean, all that is the spines. These things are freaking crazy what they can eat. That being said, you get a big old crawfish, a crustacean, something like that. The bigger it is, the wilder its action is. That's more power in its claws and pinchers. So the risk versus reward on something with massive appendages, especially horizontal appendages, because that means bigger. Like, if you notice, everything is streamlined and small. Like, the fish is more likely to eat that because he's less likely to get injured in his gills. I think it's less likely to grab him. So if you look at how a crawfish swims, the smaller crawfish are like that. It looks like a Ned rig. If you look like a beaver, it looks like a small crawfish with tiny pinchers.
Yeah.
Like, I don't, and I could be wrong in certain areas with this, but
you remember the Berkeley study, right? Which crawfish got eaten more? One with 2 claws, 1 claw, or no claws?
No claws.
No claws.
Because it's safer. That's why a Cinco works. There's nothing there in that fish's brain that says this could be dangerous to me.
Danger, dranger. He's
you know it doesn't have claws? Is this bait right here?
Yeah, I've seen that thing.
The secret.
It's always in my Instagram ads and stuff, or it's always.
What are you doing, Baitman?
Hey,
it's supposed to be low key.
See if Travis is watching. Shout out to Brian the Carpenter. Supposedly this is, dude. I'm telling you,
like
Matt Robertson was
like a pin oak.
Matt Robertson was at my house last week, and he's looking around. He always prods in here. I gave him a DB3, and he goes, dude. He saw that geek crank and says that is. He said that's the flipping bait. He said no one's talking about it. He said, but that's what every guy.
Now they are.
It's now profile, I guess.
I don't know.
314 more people know about it tonight.
I'll put the link on Tackle Warehouse if they have these in stock. It smells like popcorn.
The biggest fad back in the day for the flipping bait. What was the one that was the bluegill one? Keith Holmes supposedly caught him in a TTBC on Tawakoni on it.
Yeah, what was that thing called?
A power.
Hog?
No, it was a bluegill bait.
Power team.
It was a
Power
team lures or something like that.
Power tackle.
Power team lures?
Yeah, power team.
The jig rig. The jig rig?
No, it was a. It looked like bluegill.
Yeah, they have. Mike's Tackle World has them. Oh.
You talking about the jig? The jig
that
looks like a bluegill?
Yeah. The hook, the back
yeah.
of it was plastic. The front was a front molded hook.
Yeah, I have a few somewhere.
Oh man, I know.
Those things were supposed to be the deal. Power tackle
gill. They were junk. Calabas is going, yeah, they were a junk.
Lateral perch.
That's
it.
Yep.
That's it. Boom. Saturday. Boom. Oh, the Big Bite Baits Warmouth. That's supposed to be a good bed bait. Is it?
Yeah, it's 100% a good bed bait. So the origin for the warmouth is it's a better Bastrix bait fry.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so let's talk about Bastrix real quick. Shout out to Hellabass. He sent me some OGs. But
is it coming back?
yeah, it's coming back. So is everybody
The
knows
good
Bass
ones?
Tricks is the paddle tail, OG paddle tail, and it's freaking awesome. But a lot of pros love the Bass Tricks fry, and they made a. It's not a hollow bell; it's a split tail minnow. And guys,
Small.
yeah, Scott Canterbury.
But it's dipped.
Yeah.
It's dipped just like the paddle tail.
Yeah. But
Mm-hmm.
the one with the fork tail, Scott Canterbury was rigging it sideways on a buzzbait, and he said it would make a buzzbait skip like you wouldn't believe.
Sideways on a buzzbait.
But they also made
Seems
some
crazy.
really good tubes as well.
You can put that warmouth on a buzzbait too during the spring around the bluegill spawn. It's freaking unbelievable.
Yeah, I like the warmouth. I've actually caught some fish on it on bed here on actually it was on Lake Barkley back in some marinas.
With a 1/4 ounce buzzbait with a little bitty blade on it around the bluegill beds.
Nice.
You put it on a chatterbait too.
Yeah.
Say what?
Yeah. Hey, I heard you saying something about the Big Bite swim on, whatever.
The swim on.
As far as a chatterbait trailer, it really it's kind of like a Zacho. It's not like it's crazy like some people like, but it's a real natural flow.
Looks good.
And
I bought that fire crawl color, man. That looked pretty cool.
It's like the only trailer I use. So there's a pain. So here's the pain in the ass with it. I'm sure you realize it, Eric. It's what's in its genius is also in its flaw. Is those little holes are what allow that bait tail to swim so good. Like if you look at all the others, like the water distribution from the blade is what keeps a paddle tail from really working there. It's what keeps it from anything from really kicking.
Yep.
But that holes catch the water and drag it, so that's why that paddle tail goes like that on a swim on. But then also you cast it and it loops around your hook sometimes.
That kind of sucks.
What's up, Chris Pack? Shout out to my VO guy.
But I mean, I think for me, I would rather just have to go and undo it and have that thing kicking even at a slow speed.
Slow speed, sure.
Yeah, sure. I have literally that's the only. I carry green pumpkin, I carry white, I carry black and blue.
Good combo, man. No fire crawl in your life?
I never got into the dang fire crawl thing. Like I'll put a little bit of orange, but I mean I'm sure I'll try it this spring. It was such a fad last year. It was
but here's the deal, dude.
But
here's the deal. I get it. But I mean, tell me you throw a red crankbait. Tell me you throw a red.
100%.
Yeah,
but I also don't fish a lot of grass.
Dude, red work. That's a myth. I'm gonna bust that myth, buddy. You better be throwing red.
I know, but if it's red, I like throwing the red. A red crankbait in the spring. Right. So like it's easier to get. I mean, you see what I'm saying? Like it's not like I don't have the grass with the red. Like I can fish a crankbait in the same areas that I would fish a chatterbait. Now I understand there's a difference. I'm just saying.
Fair enough. But believe me, man, they'll eat it.
You know what? Pangrac's a pro. I'm just a freaking dude that's
not a pro.
To tackle.
He is a pro, man.
I pay an entry fee to fish the Bassmaster Opens. That's not a pro.
Well, you had pro-like results, buddy.
Opens. All of you, anybody could.
Not interested.
You just have to sign up for them.
I'm just a dude. That's all I am, man.
I'm just
a Joe in the
guy
back of the boat
people used to call and say, "Hey, man, I'm looking for these geek racks. I've heard a lot about them. You got them?" Oh yeah, I sure do. So that's how that started. I mean, seriously, love him or hate him, Fletcher Shyrocks, who gave me the Shrocks, the one that gave me the Baitman, because he would just call me and be like, "Hey, you got some?" So yeah, he's like, "God dang, you are the Baitman in my phone." So I was like, "Yeah, I'll roll with it."
Hey man, Travis gave me the Epic Eric designation. I sure didn't come up with that. We had 2 epic crankbait bites in a row. We like 7 days apart. Stupid. Unbelievable.
Got a new subscriber here. Let's see who he is. Sam Larry. Appreciate you subbing in. Dude, guys, we've been on for 2 hours and 18 minutes. This is time for final thoughts. Final thoughts. We stayed on the Warts a lot. Any other of those mid-depth sleepers? I got one. Strike King Series 3. Not a 3XD, a Series 3.
DT10.
Balsa.
Would you buy a DT8 if they made it? Would you just load your boat with them?
They made a DT flat 7.
Nah, I only catch fish if they're at 6 or 10. I don't mess with those.
I'm just saying. Well,
you could have the 8.
I don't get it. They got a DT4, DT6, and it's like, oh, let's forget about the 8-foot fish. Give me a DT8, man, because it is such a legendary bait. And the DT10 is way bigger than the DT6, right? That's just a monster step up in size. Don't you think, Panger?
Yeah, look at that. That's a 6 and a 10.
That's what I'm saying. Give me.
If you put a 6 next to the 10, you're like, how did my 14s get in my finesse?
Thank you very much. Yes, exactly. I need an 8. Why not an 8, man?
Is that your final thought, that the Rapala DT10 is oversized and they need an 8?
You know what? I'll agree with you. Hold on. Let me get out the box. Let me get the box.
I mean, how many DT6s have been sold?
A lot.
Billions.
And how many DT10s have been sold? Far fewer.
You think?
But, well, come out. I'm talking about like guys that think about, all right, fair enough. You fish deeper lakes than I do. I'm a river rat. So for the river rat in me, I want an 8-foot crankbait from Rapala.
Okay, like then explain to me, why does the DT4 look so much different than the DT6?
See all these, Eric? Pangrac?
That's the flats, man.
DT7 flat. You can get 8-foot on this bait. 10-pound
but
fluoro.
It's got a different action, right?
It does have a different action.
Right?
I got way too many of these, by the way.
You do, Evans? You could send a few my way.
What color you want?
What you want? We trade, man.
I don't want to trade. I'll just give them to you. I'll need the space eventually.
I'm about to start unloading some tackle. I started thinking about it, Pangrac, and I'm walking around my multiple bait rooms, and I'm going, I'm never going to throw that. I mean, it's content for YouTube, but I'm not doing a YouTube channel. I'm just streaming and showing these baits. I got to start unloading some shit.
Somebody asked me why.
Yeah, I totally did.
What's
I did that. I've moved like 3 or 4 times in the last like 5 years.
Yeah.
It's like I've gotten rid of so much stuff. Like I used to just have boxes full of stuff, and I'm like, I have no confidence in it, and I'm not planning on throwing it. It's good stuff. So they just like give it to sell it, give it away.
Sure.
And I mean, ideally, isn't the goal like when you're in the water and you open up your box, you want to be able to pick any box out of there. You want to be able to pick your bait based on the action that you want and the color that you want, not on, I like this bait, it runs good. Like if it's in your boat, everything should run good. You should have.
That's very true.
You can pretty much cull it down. Like go back through the year. I challenge you to do this. Go back through your past year. This is a bad year in 2020. Go back through 2019 of an average tournament year fishing and write down what you caught everything on.
Oh,
and you will find out. Shockingly, now there are those times where like every 4 years you use that crankbait that you thought you'd never use.
Sure.
But write down. You use tremendously less stuff than you would think.
Right.
That's why I've got rock crawlers, wiggle warts, and DT10s in here. Because if it's cold and I'm cranking, those are 3 I'm going to crank.
There you go.
You trying to tell me I need to consolidate?
No, I'm just saying.
He's saying from a tournament angler. As a tournament angler.
I'm trying to simplify
not a lure collector.
Everything.
It's different. Lure collectors and tournament anglers are 2 different animals. I'm a collector.
I'm trying to simplify everything.
Right.
Make it as simple and easy as possible. I got 15 wiggle warts that run good. I got 15 rock crawlers that run good. And I got 15 DTs that run good.
You gotta get a couple more miles per hour out of that boat too. I mean,
heck yeah, man.
I mean that's a real thing. I know I'm joking, but there's guys that I've rode in boats with. They got so much tackle. I'm like, dude, your skeeter can run more than 70 miles an hour. Like,
here's the only thing that I will really go oddball and buy every single different one that I see and keep it in the boat are buzz baits. Other than that, I stick. Yeah, because there's because the sound and action of the buzz bait is what makes a bite.
What are your 3 favorite buzz baits right now?
Reaction Innovation, Squeaky Dolphin, Booger Man, and that's the Booger Man there.
Squeaky Dolphin.
Oh God.
He's got
How many
one.
of those do you have?
I have 1. I've got two. There's a red and black one somewhere.
I haven't seen one of those in 5 years. And honestly, right now, that new James Watson Worldwide Buzzer is really good if you want a full skirt. But the
Bass Alarm. Can't forget Bass Alarm.
Yeah, Bass Alarm, and then that Toad Toter from Big Bite has a really good sound for a clicking buzz bait. I don't know what the name of it is exactly, but a cheap, not a cheap, but a very affordable clicking buzz bait that you can put a trailer on.
Panger, there's a few that you need that I have in my game that are
No, I've got them all too. So there's like a whole series of Mega Bass ones that are like really, really squeaky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With finesse hooks in them.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
I've caught the heck out of them on that. Obviously, you got to go with the old school lunker lures with the flat rubber.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm gonna tell you,
those are really good.
Mm-hmm.
The Cavitron's a good one.
This daggone War Eagle with the big blade catches them.
That'll do. Yeah.
I've never gotten into the War Eagle.
Now, if you want a loud banger, it ain't it. But if you want a slow squeaker, early spring, first time you throw a buzzbait, that's the deal.
Yep. That Booyah one with the clacker on, it's good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is.
Anyway, there's a ton, but I've got.
That's true.
I've got a ton of buzz. Anyway, the whole point wasn't to get into midnight.
We always get on a buzzbait discussion when Eric's on here.
We love buzzbait.
Accent,
but I'm
accent game changer.
That's what I carry a bunch of.
Accent game changer.
What's your trailer?
Jacob Wheeler, good one.
Oh yeah. Trailer hook. Have you seen the new?
Depends on where we throw it.
Have you seen the new Aaron Martin's trailer hook?
No.
With the bend in the shank?
No.
Are you buying it?
I haven't seen it.
Well, I hope I put it up here.
What about this Jackal Gurgle? Anyone throwing this? You seen that, Pangrac?
I tried it. I hate it.
All right. Well.
The firecracker, that Jackal firecracker.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Oh, that gets bit. Hey, Pangrac, I'm gonna go get the trailer hook. Baxter, don't end the stream yet. It's in my garage.
No, we're on buzzbaits now. We're good.
All right. So Eric's not even in his garage. That's a separate room.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I want to know about this thing right here. There's that Mega Bass. That's that new one. It's actually got a bigger hook.
The Python. Yeah. The Angry Python. Or
yeah. White Python.
No, Jamaican boa.
Jamaican boa. Yeah. Angry Python.
That's right. The D&Ms are really good. Yes. They make one that's like a California Delta deal, I think. Mm-hmm. But the bait rides really low and it's got a really good deep gurgle on it.
Menendez was telling me about one that's made out west. It's got he said that it's got the shank and then it deep goes down like that. I forgot the name of it. He said it runs.
Out west, they use a ton of those double blades and bigger blades and inline. They use a bunch of that stuff out west. Like Littner's got some crazy buzz baits that they use out there. Like the Delta, like the guys who fish the California Delta have the best buzz bait collections.
So that whole double plopper thing, it was like one of those ideas where everyone was like, man, this is going to be the deal. And
do they still sell those?
Dude, they're discounted everywhere. I think if it was weighted right, it needs something, because what happens is you're reeling that thing and those blades counter rotate each other and it starts going way up, airplaning on its side. Oh.
Stinger trailer. Are those brand new?
Yeah, brand new. So A-Mark designed this so that the trailer hook has a bend.
Like a fly hook.
Yeah, so it has a bend in the shank so that trailer hook won't fall down the shank when you put it on, right?
Oh, brilliant.
Does that make sense? Yeah, right? And it's got a little stopper too. So anyway, I'm really enthusiastic about it for that purpose. It's a super slick coating. It's Gamakatsu, and I will give you the report. It's a teardrop.
That's the Lake of the Ozarks one. Croco Gator.
Tell me you know this one.
Jim Dill.
The Viper?
It's a Mega Bass.
The Fragile Viper?
Ooh, I hadn't seen that one.
What's the name? The Fragile
How deep
Viper?
is your buzzbait game, Eric?
It's pretty crazy. So this is, no, it's the Rattle Viper.
Oh.
and it's got a tungsten bead that is on the shaft, welded.
That's just like this one.
And so basically, why I like this, it's a clacker. I've got a big bite between the blade and the hook, right? Yeah, the new one. But this has a little bit different sound for sure.
Huh.
And
I bought one of the new Mega Bass one. I thought it was decent. It didn't seem like magic to me.
Is it mirrored? But that's just a really big profile buzzbait, though.
Like, it is a big buzzbait.
I'm not into
compared to this Rattle Viper. This is a much smaller buzzbait. It's 3/8 ounce, way more compact. So that's why
I thought it had a good sound to it.
Yeah, this one has a great sound. I love it. It's a bad little bitch. And apparently, I don't know. I can't read. I really wish I could read Japanese.
We gotta get Sego.
Yeah, they make it with a clear blade too, which is pretty cool. So
yeah, I bought this one at Mike's. I think that's a Producto.
Yep.
That's a little tricky right there, man.
Dude, those little plastic blades, they get bit.
They do.
I remember seeing it. I remember seeing those.
The old Tri-Wing, man, they get bit, man. Don't sleep on those things.
Does that have 3 or
4?
Yeah.
Oh, that was a quad.
Yeah.
Damn. What? You could really reel it slow.
Notice it's got that weird Shaughnessy style hook in there too.
It does, man. It does. It does.
Man, I like the plastic blades. They don't cast real good, but they're and
yeah, they don't.
When everybody's throwing top water, that's when that thing shines.
Take that skirt off. That'll cause it to tumble less, and throw like a beaver on there. Not your little spicy beaver with the tail kick.
Yeah.
Yeah, as a tail.
Dude, spicy beaver is great
one of
on
the
the
reasons that they tumble. So if you really you got a problem casting, just go with a Z-Craw or whatever. Yeah, man.
I thought this was final thoughts, and here we are on buzzbaits.
All right, goals for 2021, man. Matt, go.
I'm hoping when the Opens come out with their schedule, there's an overall for all 9. So obviously qualify for the Elite Series.
Nice. Baitman?
My goals for 2021?
Yeah, man, you're included.
Hopefully not to piss you off, so you keep streaming with me. Or my wife off, so she still lets me come in here. Goals for 2020: ship Eric his baits that I've promised him for like 4 months that just sit in the same spot here.
That's cool. Okay. I like it. Pangrac, did you see I'm supporting AFCO, man?
I saw that.
Hey, I got it on sale.
I'll say this, Pangrac. I have no relationship with AFCO. None. Zero. I own one shirt. It's the War on Carp shirt. And I think it's really, really awesome that they got behind Menendez and the whole Asian carp deal and trying to do something. I mean, it means a lot to me because, dude, Kentucky Lake ain't the same as it was, 10 years ago. And you could say there's a lot of factors in that, but I think the major factor is the carp. It's
the whole Shed family with what they've done with AFCA. Milt's in the Fishing Hall of Fame. The guy started it, and they're like legitimately into the conservation side of it. I mean, it's a massive company that started, kind of saltwater primarily, that just transitioned into the freshwater. But I mean, they have their 10% pledge. They have, the bank bag programs. They've done this War on Carp. I mean, they have given, I want to say millions over the years. I'm sure it is by that, just in conservation, and it's a cool deal. Like, I'm proud to wear their stuff, and like personally know them, and they're super mellow, super down to earth. It's good stuff.
What are you wearing right there? Is that hoodie that has the thing that comes up?
Oh, hell no, I couldn't wear that inside. That's the worst. Like, whenever you go fishing with the Reaper on, bring another hooded sweatshirt, because as soon as you get in the car, you'll start sweating.
What is that you're wearing?
This is the Shadow hoodie. It's just got like the little.
Which one's the Jason Christie design? The real Jason Christie
makes a sun one. So he does a samurai that zips up. So basically, instead of having to wear a buff or anything, it basically zips up the hood on it. It's more of a sun shirt. It's got a SPF 50, I believe.
I did use your discount code, Pangrac, that you sent me for this AFCO stuff, so I didn't pay full price. I just wanted you to know.
Very nice.
You got a discount code?
I've never sent you. Did I send you one last year? I didn't get it this year.
I know you didn't send me one. I was just saying. I paid.
Well, so last year they gave us all the cards.
Did they?
And then I felt like a drug dealer because people would be like, "Hey man, you got any of
You got
cards
the card.
left?"
Don't tell anybody anything about what you get.
But
And
this year I didn't get any of the cards this year.
That's not right.
Well, I mean, dude, you're talking about a clothing manufacturer that primarily does their business with brick and mortar.
Right.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Brick and mortar was closed.
I didn't know. I thought AFCO's. Oh, you're right. Because they're sending it to retailers. Damn.
Yeah.
I'm thinking.
Where'd you get that BTL swag you got on your head there?
Oh, dude, this is a hat that Columbus Barrel Company made for me.
Pretty sweet.
Yeah, so I got no affiliation with Columbus Barrel Company. They're guys that fish. They repurpose bourbon barrels in Columbus, Ohio, and they make badass stuff out of it. If you have
wood on your hat, is that wood?
Yes.
Damn,
it's a bourbon. It's an oak bourbon barrel
on your hat. That's crazy. That's badass.
And if you need like gifts for any occasion, anything like that, like something cool, I don't know if they are shipping in time for Christmas or anything, but like shot glass holders, flasks, belt buckles, money clips, all sorts of like stuff on the walls. If you're an Ohio State fan, they wasted a bunch of barrels doing Ohio State stuff. Could have done Oklahoma stuff, but
Nice,
anyway,
man.
They're out of Columbus, so that's a cool place. So they had a couple of these hats made for me.
That's nice, man.
Yeah.
Well, hey, wait, since you guys didn't ask me about my goals for 2020.
Yeah.
What's your goals, Eric? Eric, what's your goals? Are you starting your own channel? What's Bass Lab Productions?
Oh, no. I can promise you one thing. I won't be doing any videos on my own. I won't be doing any YouTube streaming on my own. I'm a co-angler at heart. I'm a collaborator. So what I really want to do with the Bass Lab, man, is collaborate with a couple bait makers. So I'm going to team up with TK and a balsa maker, bring in potentially a couple different baits to market there. I'd love to see if a jig company could make my shaky jig worm. You know what I mean? I think that would be badass, man. I've had a lot of success with it, been throwing it for years. And, when I showed the picture on IG, there were a ton of people that responded. I can only tie so many. I'm not looking to sit in my basement and tie jigs for a living. But I just love to see it out there, man, because it's effective and it works. You know what I mean? So just a couple collaborations. That would be a lot of fun. It's my passion project. And really, I know 2021 is not the year to do it. But straight up, I've talked about it before. I want to do the YOLO Bass Tour. So Pangrac, I don't know what I'd have to pay you to do it, but I think I'm going to have to talk to you guys about YOLO Bass Tour, man. Legendary lakes, legendary tackle shops, legendary guys.
That's our collaboration, man. Me and Pangrac and you.
What do you think? What do you think, Pangrac? Would you be into
20 feet deep in tackle with Baitman and Eric?
Yeah. I mean,
dude, I'm gonna tell you right now.
You got thousands of people who log on and watch just you hold up stuff in your tackle rooms.
I think it would be fun,
dude. Imagine me and Eric going to East County Bait and Tackle at Clear Lake County, one of the most legendary OG tackle shops on the West Coast.
Just geeking out, man.
Yeah.
We would have locals slashing our tires at all of these places. We wouldn't get out of these places alive.
I'm not gonna lie, I took some freaking heat for that Mike's Tackle World video. Like,
really?
It got posted in a vintage crankbait collectors group, and I had a guy message me, said that is the dumbest shit I've ever seen. Why would you want to post a video like that? And I said, whoa.
Awesome.
And he said, I said, whoa, man, I'm just, and he said, well, dude, they're hidden gems for a reason. Don't want everybody knowing about stuff like that. And I'm like, whoa, bud. You got me wrong, man. If I found a place that had 500 paycheck repo man, whatever you want to call them, and I walk in there and I have a camera, I'm showing it because that's cool stuff, man.
Well, that bait part of the tour maybe canceled. Maybe it's just legendary lakes and guides, and that's about it, man. I'm not into getting roughed up.
You got to do it. But yeah, I mean, dude, if you could find 6 other guys with collections like you guys have.
Dude, there's 6 other guys in the state of Kentucky that I'm going to be honest with you. You walk into a guy that fishes a BFL or a Toyota Series that's an angler that actually fishes, you know, not a donator. Actually, those guys probably spend more money, but that's a serious bass junkie. Dude, my fishing partner, he couldn't tell you the difference between a 6XD and a Series 5, but he can go out there and hammer 25 pounds when they're on a crankbait. You go look in his tackle room, dude, he's got as much, if not more than me. The problem is he don't know what he's got. He just, I buy this, buy that, and the hook's rust.
See, that's weird because I'm just the opposite. Like, all my stuff, I could probably fit in a quarter of a 10-foot storage unit.
Dude, have you ever seen Ike and Ellie's wall? Of course, a bunch of
100%. Like, I don't have the totes of plastics. I don't have, like, the backups and all that stuff. I've pared it down over the years.
That's smart, man. There you go.
I don't know why. I mean, like, I feel like I know, but I just don't have the quantities or the collections. Now I'm addicted to talking to people like you and Eric who have it and appreciate it and all that stuff. But I have what I like.
You ain't shit, though, unless you got some of these Pangrac. I'm just saying. Unless you got the bellows. I'm just kidding.
Watch those be the next biffle bug.
Hey, speaking of biffle bugs, look at here. Well, I found biffle bugs the other day. This is how stupid I am. Local store here, Fast Eddie's. You may have been in Fast Eddie's before if you've been here. They had all their biffle bugs and rattling crawlers in a discount bin for $1 a bag. $1. They cost as a dealer like $3.79. So I bought 20 bags.
Damn, you like a biffle bug?
I didn't say I liked it, but they're $1 a pack.
You can't turn it down.
That's right.
Have you ever caught them out there on the East Coast, Eric?
You know, I threw the biffle bug on a wobblehead with Pete Gluzik, man. We did like a bass learning episode, you know, just we weren't filming or anything. Just like I hired him to do a bass class with me on the water. I really like Pete. And we both had trouble staying hooked up on it, man. Sticking a rattle in there, that might have been the problem. It was super loud. Have you ever noticed when you like stick a rattle in a pack-a-crawl?
Oh.
It's it's like a megaphone. And I guess the acoustics of it, a Zoom double, you know, steel ball rattle, is extraordinarily loud in a pack-a-crawl. Same thing with a biffle bug. It's that hollow cavity that like amplifies the sound out the back. And so I was jamming too much shit in there. So
biffle bug is just designed for a one jump throw.
Yeah.
You got a hunk of plastic on a hook with a lead that gives them leverage.
Yeah.
That you're on a long distance,
That's what I'm saying.
with a meteor hook on it, and the fish are not able to inhale it because it's on the bottom. So a lot of times they're rolling on it, they're crushing it. They have other crap in their mouth when they eat it.
They try to push
it's moving.
They push it down or try to like kill it. That's why you hook a lot of them in the chin, I've noticed.
100%. That's what I'm saying. It's designed to break your heart.
I think so too. And I think the other thing is, you know, if you think about an EWG hook, most of them, you look at the line tie and the hook point, and they're almost in line with each other. You know, I used to bend my EWGs, which ruins the integrity of the hook, to give it more gap and bite from the line tie to the hook point. I want it above it.
You know,
and most EWGs are in line, and so that's the problem. If you look at a biffle bug hook, if you got one, I could probably pull one out, but I mean, I'll just pull out.
It's a owner, I believe.
Yeah, so this is the owner cutting point. And I was with Sean Hernke. Do you know that name?
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. So Sean, I got together with Sean.
Texas guy, right?
Texas guy.
Down there by Lake Conroe, one of the best guys on Lake Conroe that there's been.
He's a really nice dude. I know that.
I love Sean, man. I took one of my recruiters because he loved to bass fish, and we went to a power plant lake, and Sean showed me this trick with this hook, a much bigger hook. This is a 3-aught. He used a 4 or 5-aught for a beaver. And anyway, then we went sight fishing. He taught me how to sight fish on Conroe. So if you look at that hook, you can see the hook point and the line eye are almost in line. So he would bend it here and then bend it up. And I'm like, why don't they make a hook that just has
They did. It was called Uvella. Youvella, and it had a slight twist and upturn in it.
Yeah, well,
Acme used them, Ish used them, a number of different guys used them for a couple years.
What about that?
So that
Gamakatsu hybrid hook?
G-Lock. It's right here. So I found a little bit more success with the G-Lock of recent.
That's
this
the
is
best
a 5/0.
best tube hook ever made, the G-Lock.
I like the Bubba shot with it, and you could see the hook point. I'm sorry, the line tie and the hook point. The hook point is above it, and the tip of the hook tips up.
That's one.
So this is a G-Lock.
If I fish a tube Texas rig, that's the hook I use. I've even got some stupid tube hooks that were poured with the G-Lock.
Stupid tube, man.
Oh yeah.
What a technique.
It's stupid, bud. It works.
It works. It's stupid and it works, man.
That's kind of a little.
Hey, look, Sean Light graduated law school today, by the way. Everybody give him a hand.
Hey, congrats, Sean.
Good luck on passing the bar, brother, man. That's freaking fantastic, man. Whew. Anyway.
When I said final countdown, we're right over 2 hours. Now we're about 15 from 3 hours.
Time flies.
Pangrac, how long do you and Jeffries usually go? An hour and a half? 2 hours?
Hour to an hour and a half.
What are you guys looking to do with
That's
BTL?
my 2021 goal. Is I need to be on a special edition Bass Talk Live. Actually,
we'll see.
What I actually do, I'm trying to do y'all a big service when I get on there. I'm trying to get some of the guys that just absolutely fire at Jeffries, the most idiotic mess. It's like, you better address this, Mark. If you don't, you ain't got a hair on your sack. And I'm like, dude.
What?
There's
oh yeah, we got
Mr. Tight Lines in particular. It's just like you go live and it's immediately Boy Duckett is the devil, and I'm like, dude, they haven't even started the stream. They're not even talking about Major League Fishing. And it's Boyd's the devil. He's ruining bass fishing.
Here's the way I look at it. It's for entertainment, right? And education.
Right.
The 3 E's: entertain, educate, engage.
Yeah.
And if that guy gets entertained, getting on there and bitching about MLF for an hour a morning, 3 days a week,
go for it.
And that's what makes him get up and pour a hot cup of Joe and be like, oh, they're live at 15. I can't wait for my first MLF zinger. Then more power to it.
Yeah, I love all the fishing leagues, so I'm just back there like, man, I can't see how some of these people this is all they think about. And you know what? People are probably like, I can't believe this son of a gun talks baits for 3 hours every Saturday night. But here we are.
Right? Ain't it the truth?
And I'll be honest, I'm going to the people that join in every Saturday night, I see the same names a lot. Thank you. I'm just glad I'm not the only insane person in this world. And Eric's been with me for about a year now, and we're ride or die in this thing.
He's a good one. Thank you for inviting me. I got a final thought. I got a final something. Do you have this? Do you have that in your tackle box?
Lindy's the worm blower.
What?
What?
That's how I imagined it.
No, but my dad has the worm lotion. You ever seen the worm lotion? Where you put it in your bag of worms and it softens your worms for you. And he used it. I mean, he went through bottles of worm lotion. Like, you know how sometimes you get a bag of Zooms and they're like Super Flukes. Sometimes the Super Flukes are really stiff. You put the worm lotion in them and let them soak. So when you go fish, they're nice and soft.
All right, I'm going to show you a bait, and whoever on the stream can name this bait maker is ridiculous. And I'll shake it and let you hear it.
Marty Burns?
Nope.
It's got a rattle in it.
Yep. He signed it on the bottom. I'm not going to show you the bottom. He signed it on the bottom. Let's see. I'm watching. So it's a square bill, obviously. Look at the lip color. Ooh. It's old school, that yellow material. That'll give you a clue. He trained, this is a clue, under Fred Young. Who is the bait maker? He made a bigger one.
Is that Wally G?
Who? No, not Wally G. He trained under Fred Young.
Someone says it was not Boyd Duckett, John Kahn, I can tell you that.
Who made this bait? It is not Lee Sisson. It is not Ed Chambers. It is not Ira C.
They still going.
If he trained under Fred Young, it's gotta be old.
He's an old, yes, most definitely.
Like old, not old. Bad old, but just it's been around a minute, because it's been a minute since Fred Young's been around to train anyone.
That's right. I'm not sure. I have to check. I do have his contact information. I haven't talked to him. It's not Zoom. It's not Bagley. Aha!
TK, not fair.
TK is the winner. Mike E-Step. Boom. And for that, TK, I'm going to send you a Mike E-Step sign bait.
Whoa. And then he's going to send you more baits to paint. That's a win-win.
Man, look at that. You know, so painting is one thing, but bait building is another. But to have a bait by Mike E-Step is like, if you're a serious collector, you got to have
that gill plate? That gill plate's the same as the Big O gill plate, isn't it?
Yep.
That's where it looked familiar.
Yep. Pretty cool, right?
Mm-hmm.
I got some pretty the biggie.
By the way, Eric, I bought me some more Jimmy Eaters.
Did you?
Yeah. The guy makes good baits, dude.
He does, man. Jimmy's got
the grind. Man. It's like a 2-piece balsa, like 2.5 size. I like it.
Oh, yeah. Nice, man. All right, Matt, I got a question for you. This is the last question, and I think we should wrap up this stream.
Yeah, we got to. My wife made breakfast for dinner, and I haven't had none of it.
My girlfriend's eating chicken nuggets in the bedroom, so I can be
Do bigger balsa square bills get bigger bites? Or plastic? Bigger square bills, do they get bigger bites? And have you spent much time?
It's situational. I've thrown the 5.5s quite a bit.
And?
It's situational.
Okay.
You can catch 13 inches on a 5.5 if those suckers are keen on the gizzard shad.
Very true.
And they won't touch it if they're keen on the threadfin shad.
Very true. Match the hatch.
I think it's totally situational.
I agree with you. I'll be honest. I think on Tennessee River Lakes, Gunnersville, used to be Kentucky Lake, Pickwick, that big square bill is a big player, and you do get bigger bites. But I think in the balsa deal, I think you get a lot bigger bites on those smaller flat side balsas than you do like a KVD 1.5. Seems I don't catch as many small fish. Trust me, I catch small fish, but I feel like when I get bit on one of those, I get a pretty good,
If you're just getting into balsa and you don't know any of these names and it's intimidating, I would recommend Black Label on Tackle Warehouse.
Yes.
Get you some of the Cliff Paste, some of the Slims, get you some of the Ricochets.
Dude, the wreck is a really good bait, dude.
You can get 8 to 10 of them for a couple $100, which literally is a bait and a half or 2 baits or 1 bait of a good, sought after balsa, and they perform really well. And you can lose them and it doesn't break the bank, and you can kind of get an understanding for when the balsa works better. And I honestly am not sure why or where, but there are times when it just works better.
All right. Final question. This is a bait question. Matt, I got to link 5 baits to Tackle Warehouse tonight. What 5 do the viewers need to be purchasing? You just said Black Label, so that's one of them. That's your favorite balsa?
Yeah, you got to link the Rock Crawler.
Rock Crawler,
if
Black
they have
Label,
any of them in stock.
Big Bite, Swimming.
The Swim On.
Swim On.
You got to link that A-Mark hook.
And do they Tackle Warehouse have that?
Blew my mind. I don't know.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Yes. There it is. That's 5 things to link right there.
Yep.
So guys, after the video, after I edit all that,
it's
links
called
up. Be on here.
The G Power Stinger trailer. The G Power Stinger trailer.
I'll link some things of our favorites tonight on here. So I gotta do a little giveaway. Y'all can leave if y'all want to. I ain't telling you ain't gotta go home, but you can't stay here. I gotta do this little giveaway for spinnerbait.
All right, thanks for having me on. By the way, I appreciate it, Baitman, Epic Eric.
Always a
pleasure to talk
always
to you
a
about
great
baits.
time, man. No doubt about it, man. Fantastic, Banger. A pleasure. I was so stoked, man. I think you're an unbelievable interviewer, man. I think you understand this bass game like nobody's business. I love that you're out there in the scene, on the tournament trail, grinding it out. You understand the business of bass fishing, and you're just an incredible analyst, man. I for Pangrac best analyst, the big time analyst that any of the tours is looking for. Pangrac is my vote. If you decide to retire from bass fishing anytime soon.
Thank you, Eric.
If you get burnt out, we need you in the game.
Hopefully I will. Hopefully
we need you in the game, man, and love to see you on the elites, bro. Love to see you on the elites. Any lures you need, me and Baitman got you, man. FedEx, whatever you need.
Unless it's a palm special, I ain't got that.
TK hooked me up.
He's got one.
Yeah.
I got me one.
Are you gonna throw it?
I don't know. It's pristine. There's not any rust on it. There's nothing on it. Right now it's at the studio.
All right, guys, we're going to sign off for the night. I appreciate all the viewers in here and everything. I'll be on. Give me about 5 minutes, and I'll get that winner for those